welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show.
Back in your life on this Monday, October 7th, 2019. Hello again, everyone. So good to see you again. I'm Ariel Helwani. Thank you very much for joining us on this lovely Monday afternoon in October. I'm so sorry I was not in your life last week. We were off because of Rosh Hashanah. If you were celebrating, Happy New Year. If you're fasting this week, I hope it's an easy one. We did a rare Monday off, and I always feel guilty about that. And so when we return following the bye week, so to speak, as you know me, as I've said many a time, I like to stack the deck. I like to come out with the big guns, and I think we have done just that on today's program. We've got a great show lined up for all of you. Of course, we're coming off UFC 243 in Melbourne, and I don't know, I hear what you Aussies are saying about Melbourne. Should we not say Melbourne? I mean, that's what you initially told me to say. You always said, I got all these messages. It's not Melbourne, it's not Melbourne, it's Melbourne. And then I start saying Melbourne, and then a bunch of other you Aussies get upset. So which one is it? Is it Melbourne, Melbourne, Melbourne? I will admit, I've gotten used to Melbourne. I think Melbourne is a little more natural. But anyway, for this show, I guess I'll say Melbourne. It was memorable. Memorable fight night. Of course, highlighted by the Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker fight. What a moment. What a scene. I mean, just how could you properly put into words what Israel Adesanya did on Saturday and what he's really done since coming to the UFC. The man debuted February of 2018. February of 2018, not 17, not 16, 18. That's a year and a half ago. Unbelievable. 7 fights in the UFC, and I remember debating with Chael Sonnen on Ariel and the Bad Guy prior to the Brad Tavares fight in July of last year, and saying that they were pushing him too fast, that they needed to slow their roll with him because they've got something special with this guy. Don't put him in there against Brad Tavares. Of course, I was wrong about that. Maybe Derek Brunson loses. Of course, I was wrong about that. And this guy, this year in particular, has just, I mean, I said it last night. I'll say it again. Not since Conor McGregor. And I know fans get upset at the comparison. I know they roll their eyes at that, but it's really true. Not since Conor have we seen someone burst through the doors of the UFC quite like this. And you have a guy, you know, sometimes you'll have a guy who comes in and it's just a slow build, and then all of a sudden they just explode. Like TJ Dillashaw, no one really saw that coming from him. Max Holloway, no one really saw that coming. And then you have another guy who, from the moment they enter in the UFC, kind of like John Jones, although it happened quicker with John Jones. The best comparison really is Conor. This guy walked into the cage against Rob Wilkinson last February in Australia and mimicked urinating in the cage. Remember that? Like a dog, saying, this is my yard. This is my turf. And everyone was like, oh man, look at this guy, the kickboxer who his kickboxing run did not end very well. Remember that? And Glory did not end very well. Alex Pereira is out there still, you know, talking about that knockout win over him. And everyone's like, oh, this guy, how dare he? He's just, you know, a poor man's Anderson Silva, a poor man's John Jones. He's coming in, he's urinating, and look what he has done since. It's unbelievable. And then he manifests all this. He's been talking about it for years. He's been predicting all of this for years, and he sets up after, you know, that amazing fight against Kelvin Gastelum. In my opinion, right now, the fight of the year. Here we are in October. That fight was in April. I see no fight that's even close to that one as of right now. And he goes into that fight against Robert Whittaker. And we're a little nervous all week. At least I was. I was a little anxious about whether or not Robert would show up. He was in good spirits, good form, good health. Shows up, 57,000 plus. At least that's what they say. It felt a little bit like WrestleMania 3, the way they announced it and all that. And I mean, the pictures are impressive. You see some empty seats at the top over there. Who knows? A little convenient that it just beat UFC 193, but I mean, take nothing away. It was phenomenal. Look at that scene. Incredible. Stadium show, Marvel Stadium. Everyone's there for Adesanya, or as he says it, Adesanya against Robert Whittaker, New Zealand versus Australia. The walkout. I mean, how about that walkout? And look, we have seen great walkouts before. We have seen elaborate walkouts. We have seen, you know, lights and all this stuff. But for him to have a choreographed walkout, and it was more so like the beginning of the walkout because, of course, he did it and then he walked out with 3 of his childhood friends, and to be that cool, to be that smooth, to be that much fun before the biggest fight of his life. I will admit, I was watching that and I was like, oh no, Is this another Michel Pereira situation where the guy's going to overexert himself, get tired before he gets to the cage? And then I reminded myself, like, nothing about Izzy is common. It's all unique. The guy's just different. He thrives under these situations. He's smiling in the cage. He's dancing in the cage for the biggest fight of his life. Robert Whittaker not lost in 9 fights, undefeated as a middleweight, and this guy's out there dancing and doing all this stuff and doing the cartwheel. It was amazing. My one gripe was it was just the same lighting as everything. I wish they did it up a little bit. You know how they do. I don't need the ramp and the pyro and the video and all that like they do in Japan, but it was just the same lighting. Like maybe dim the lights, put a spotlight, something like that to make it seem a little more dramatic. Anyway, it was phenomenal. I hope we see, look at the reaction to it. I hope we see more of that. Be unique, be fun. In this day and age with the Reebok and everyone looking the same and the uniforms, all that stuff, it's look at the reaction to just a 30-second choreographed routine. Look at that. Everyone loved it. Amazing. Walks in there, calm, cool, collected. Rob looked a little tense, but I don't think we should read too much into that. But it was very clear in that first round that he was overexerting himself. It seemed like he was lunging. He was getting caught. And in the final seconds of the first round, got dropped. And I think if there were 20 or so more seconds, I think the fight would have been done in the first round. A member of his team predicted 3rd round stoppage. It ended up being a 2nd round stoppage. You could tell going into that 2nd round, Whittaker's on the stool. He's dazed, a little confused. You could see the look in his eye. I mean, his eyes were glassy, and it looked like it was inevitable at that point that Izzy would finish him, and he did in the 2nd stanza. And a great celebration afterwards, a great moment with his family, honoring his parents, putting the belt down, giving the belt to his mom. And now all of a sudden, Nigeria has 2 champions. Nigeria has produced 2 champions. And this is the first time that a country not named the United States or Brazil has 2 champions at the same time in the UFC. Nigeria. Who predicted this? Of course, the first, Kamaru Usman, and now the second, Israel Adesanya. This is incredible stuff. The UFC has to figure out a way to go there. I mean, could you imagine? You've got 2 amazing fighters, current champions, budding superstars, now representing that country. And make no mistake about it, Israel Adesanya is a superstar. This man is now one of the faces of the UFC. If you follow him on Instagram, you'll see The Rock sliding into his DMs, telling him how much he loves him. You'll see Shaquille O'Neal sliding into his DMs, telling him that he's his favorite fighter ever. And these are MMA aficionados. They're not Johnny-come-latelys. They're not guys who have just been watching this past year. They're not casuals, as he likes to say. This is a guy that the UFC can really get behind. And I don't think there's that fear. You know, it was interesting on the post-fight show, I heard Chael Sonnen say, oftentimes when someone becomes a champion, they get their big moment, they turn the guns on the UFC and say, all right, now pay me. And he said Israel didn't do that. And he's right. He did not do that in the cage. But what he did do in the post-fight interview was saying, like, yeah, now I want to get paid. That being said, I don't think Israel is going to be a problem for the UFC. Yes, he did sign recently with Paradigm, represents the likes of Conor McGregor, very famously. And you need representation at this point. I'm very much in favor of that. It's probably not good for you or your coach to be doing the negotiations on your behalf. But I don't suspect that Israel is going to be a problem for the UFC in or out of the cage. Like, you're reminded of UFC 128 when John Jones won the belt against Shogun Rua. And I'm reminded of the interview that Dana White gave me afterwards about the leeches and the hanger-ons. And now we're going to see, it almost seemed like he knew what was coming. He could feel it. And we all sort of weren't quite sure what to make of John because it seemed like he was trying a little too hard. It doesn't seem to me like Israel's trying too hard. I know people say sometimes his trash talk is cringe or his lines are cringe or the dancing is cringe. I love all of it. It seems like he is as cool, calm, and collected and just enjoying it. And what's also a lot of fun about him is that he speaks like a fan. You ever notice that? He drops things like, I'm not impressed. He drops things like casuals. He drops things like the MMA gods. He drops like MMA references that fans would use when talking about the sport. He's very up to speed with what's going on, very up to speed with pop culture and all the things that kids are doing online. Half of the stuff I don't understand. I mean, he takes out the book, something about Death Note. I have no idea what he's talking about, but it seems really cool, and it seems like a lot of people, just the fact that he had the presence of mind and to do it that well, I'm impressed with all of it. And I see you saying like, oh, Ariel has found a new guy. I've been on the Izzy bandwagon for a very long time. There is nothing to dislike about this guy. If you dislike this guy, you don't like fun. Like, there's nothing that you could say about this guy that is bad right now. Everything he is doing is on point, is perfect. He's checking off all the boxes, from the promotion to the talk before the fights, to how he sells fights, to the entrances, to how he fights, to the aftermath, to how he sets up the next one. That scene with Paulo Costa, I mean, that was straight out of 1980s pro wrestling. And that's the best compliment that I could give it. It was amazing. You got Costa there with the shirt. He did his part as well. Make no mistake. Costa was perfect. And even having Eric Albarracin by his side, perfect. I loved everything about it. It was amazing. It was like Eric has become as I mentioned on my column this morning, he's become a cross between Bobby Heenan and Greg Jackson at this point. Like, he's almost like the manager sidekick that you need to have there with the glasses. It's great. Costa's all excited. Adesanya is egging him on and talking smack about him. Now we have that fight. And that's the perfect first title defense. It's the perfect one because you've got Costa, who's so good looking and massive and chiseled and hits really hard and is coming off a great win over a really tough guy. And then you got Adesanya doing his thing. And now here's the interesting thing. I was talking to someone this morning. Actually, I'll say who I was talking to. I was talking to Romero's manager, Abraham Kawa, and he told me, look, we're impressed with Israel Adesanya because he also represents John Jones. We're impressed. But look, Robert Whittaker is not the same fighter. When you go 10 rounds with Yoel Romero, you're not the same fighter. And now how about this? Isn't it interesting? Adesanya is now going up against Paulo Costa, who just went 3 rounds with Yoel Romero. 3 is not as big as 10, but will we see a different Costa? Like, does Romero really take years off your career? Does he really, take away some of your chin? We'll find out. We'll see if he finishes it. Maybe there's something to that. But the John Jones thing, that's why I called him. The John Jones thing is something that has to be on the horizon. It's not right now on the horizon. And I'm sorry if I'm talking too fast and getting all excited here. There's just a lot on my mind coming off of Saturday. I wish we were doing this show on Saturday because I had a lot to say. More of my thoughts, by the way, on my weekly ESPN.com thoughts column, which is up right now. But the John Jones-Israel Adesanya fight could be one of the biggest in UFC history. The dynamic between the two is great. John is clearly interested in that fight. I don't care what he says. He likes to poke at him. He likes to play on the fact that, Israel wasn't ready and needs to build himself up. I do think the size advantage or disadvantage, whichever way you're looking at it, is going to be a big deal. But I mean, John is big, and he's even considering going up to heavyweight these days. This is John before the fight. Talking Israel. I mean, you could tell John is thirsty right now. He is looking for something. He is looking for a foil. He is looking for someone to dance with. There's nothing really exciting him. You see the way he's reacting to Chris Weidman. Weidman fighting on October 18th. That would be interesting, given his background. The New York thing, the former champion. But you could see that he's interested. And I could tell that Israel is interested as well. And his brand of trash talk when it comes to John Jones is a lot of fun. But I think we're still a year or two away from that. Maybe this time next year, it could be more of a thing. But John's talking about heavyweight these days. Israel's still, he weighed in under 185. So I don't think it's happening anytime soon. And quite frankly, I think it would be a mistake to do it now. You got to build them up. You got to hope that they win a little more, and then it's a bigger deal. But, Israel's win on Saturday really got me thinking about the race for male fighter of the year. Because last year around this time, Daniel Cormier was about to fight Derek Lewis at Madison Square Garden. And that was like, I think most people thought he was going to win that fight, and most people thought if he wins that fight, he'll be fighter of the year. Like, there wasn't a lot. I don't think any outlet picked someone not named Daniel Cormier for fighter of the year. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure all the major ones picked him. This year, you've got a really tough choice for fighter of the year. And with him winning on Saturday, and with Jorge Masvidal about to fight Nate Diaz on November 2nd, it got me thinking about this race. So I want to quickly break this down because I think this is a fascinating race and probably one of the closest ones that we've seen in recent history. So I've boiled it down to 3 candidates at this point. Number 1, Israel Adesanya. There he is. All right, so this is the record in 2019, 3-0. We know about the win in February over Anderson Silva. That was huge. We know about the win over Kelvin Gastelum in April. Also of note, that was, in my opinion, the fight of the year. So I think that adds to the resume as well. And then you know what happened against Robert Whittaker on Saturday. Tied for second most post-fight bonuses through his first 7 fights. 6. Of course, that doesn't include this year as well. But he has to be at the top of the list. I don't think anyone... you can make a case right now he's the front runner. But in addition to Mr. Adesanya, you have this man, Henry Cejudo, who I don't think will get a lot of love come December. And I think that's unfortunate because lest we forget, this man had 2 massive victories this year. The problem is they happened in the first half of the year. And I think that there is a recency bias when it comes to some of these awards. So 2-0 in 2019, had the massive win over TJ Dillashaw in a little over 30 seconds. Defeated the bantamweight champion who was moving down, 2025, who ended up popping, for EPO, and then comes back and defeats Marlon Morais, who was on some kind of roll in June, to win the bantamweight title. So now he's a 2-division champion at the same time, one of the few in UFC history. But the problem is he's injured now. He's not going to fight again this year, and he's just 2-0. And usually you need that third victory to get you over the hump. And also, it's probably best to fight in the third or fourth quarter to get you over the hump. So Cejudo's out there, and he should be considered. And I think it's somewhat of a crime considering the magnitude of his victories. 125 champion, beating the 135 champion who went down, and then getting the vacant title. But I think because he only fought twice and because they were in the first half of the year, it's going to hurt him. And then, of course, the third one, we'll see how it plays out on November 2nd. But here's the tough one. If Jorge Masvidal beats Nathan Diaz on November 2nd, you could make a very strong case for him. The Darren Till knockout in March, the fastest knockout in UFC history in July, first loss for Ben Askren, and then a win over Nate Diaz at Madison Square Garden, BMF title, all that stuff. What do you like? Let's just stack them up. Till, Silva, which is more impressive? Knockout over Till, decision win over Silva. Okay, next one. Fight of the year against Gaslam, supremely impressive. 5-second knockout. Askren, which one? And then stopping Whittaker, first loss in 9 fights, or beating Nate Diaz, and we'll see the way in which he beats him. So if he loses to Nate, I think Israel has it locked up. But if Masvidal wins on November 2nd, and we can revisit this on November 4th after that fight, I think we got to really... I don't know who to pick. I really don't. I think you can make a very strong and educated case for all 3 guys. And so I want to do this. I want to ask you, the people. I want to put this on the poll, like Le Batard and friends like to say. We used to do this back in the MMA Hour days. Corporate Jake, put this on my poll right now. As of right now, actually, no. Let's word it like this. If Jorge Masvidal wins on November 2nd, who is your fighter of the year? Is it Israel Adesanya? Is it Jorge Masvidal? Or is it Henry Cejudo? I want to know. And then later in the program, at the end, we'll weigh in and we'll see your poll results. I'm curious to hear what the people are thinking right now. By the way, speaking of tight races, I just want to quickly weigh in on this one. How about Coach of the Year? I know Captain Eric is very into the idea that he should be the guy, and he's had a phenomenal... I mean, look at this record right now for Captain Eric in 2019 as far as Bellator and UFC fighters are concerned. Look at this. 7-1, but let's talk about the magnitude of these victories. Henry Cejudo, his guy, 2-0 in the UFC, beat TJ Dillashaw, like I just said, and then wins the bantamweight title. So you've got a double champ there. Then you've got Patricio Pitbull in Bellator, was the 145 champ, also now wins the lightweight championship against Michael Chandler, and recently successfully defended the 145 title against Juan Archuleta, 2-0 in 2019. His brother, Patricky Pitbull, 1-0 and also fighting in the Ryzen tournament later this year. Paulo Costa with the massive win over Yoel Romero. Leandro Higo, 1-0. Bruno Silva, the lone blemish, but that's a pretty damn good year for Coach / Captain Eric Albarracin, who has been campaigning, who really thought that he should have won the award last year. But I got to say, he's got competition. He really does. And is it possible that this man has actually taken the lead? Eugene Behrman of City Kickboxing. Look at this record. 10-0 this year as far as UFC and Bellator fights are concerned. Israel Adesanya, 3-0 in 2019, wins the middleweight title, fight of the year, tremendous. Alex Volkanovski, 1-0 thus far, but again, fighting December 14th in Las Vegas against Max Holloway, could win the featherweight championship. You could have 2 champions from the same small gym in Auckland, New Zealand. What happens then? Dan Hooker, 2-0, massive win over Ally Quinta in the co-main event on Saturday. Kai Kara France, 2-0. Big fight against Brandon Moreno, not Sergio Pettis, by the way, who's now a free agent, on December 14th. Brad Riddell, fight of the night on Saturday, 1-0. And Shane Young, 1-0. 10-0. Perfect 10-0. Who do you pick there? Who do you go with there? So, Corporate Jake, in addition to Fighter of the Year, let's do another poll. As of right now, who is your 2019 Coach of the Year? Captain Eric Albarracin or Eugene Behrman? And I think one thing that helps Eugene, by the way, is the fact that he's from a team, like a gym, like City Kickboxing. I think fans are sort of, they're drawn to that, a name like that. Captain Eric doesn't, he has to come up with a team name. I think that's hurting him right now. So I'm very curious. Are you good with that, Corporate Jake? Are you good with 2 polls?
Yep, both polls are already out.
Oh, any indication who's winning or too soon?
We'll check it out later.
All right, fine. So those are some quick thoughts on Saturday and the rise of Israel Adesanya, the last style bender. The guy is so much fun. I'm looking forward to seeing when he fights again. It's most likely going to be against Paulo Costa. But all in all, it was a great night. Dan Hooker, like I said, with a big win. How about Jorgen De Castro, security guard in Fall River, Massachusetts, Durfee High School. I hope those kids treat him very well when he comes back to school later this week. Brad Riddell, like I said. And one of my favorite stories on the night, Megan Anderson returning home for the first time in about 5 years, getting a chance to fight back home. She's had visa issues, which precluded her from coming home, and getting a big win. In my opinion, her best performance in the UFC, and talking openly about self-confidence issues, anxiety issues, even thought about maybe taking a break from MMA. Looked phenomenal. So good on you, Megan Anderson. We wanted to have her on the show today, but because of the time difference over there in Brisbane where she is, we weren't able to get that done, but we will talk to her very soon. So I'm excited about today. That's the little 243 preamble. This weekend is just absolutely absurd. A rare weekend where you have UFC, Bellator, one championship, Century, their 100th event, 2 shows they're doing, one of which is airing live on TNT right after the UFC event. So that's phenomenal. You're getting, free one championship, cable, I know, but, close enough. Cage Warriors, PFL playoffs starting on Thursday. I mean, this is amazing. This is one of the best weekends of the year. Joanna Jacek against Michelle Watterson. Very important fight at 115. Crone Gracie going up against Cub Swanson. The 170-pound debut of James Vick. Mackenzie Dern returning 4 months after having a child. Unbelievable. All right, let me run down today's lineup, and then we'll get to our first guest of the day. I'll also tell you about my good friends over at Vivid Seats. We got a lot. Also, we got some breaking news later on. I'm going to be announcing a fight that's happening, a highly anticipated fight later on this year on pay-per-view. We've got a lot going on here today, my friends, all right? When I leave you for a week, I like to make it up to you. And hopefully we are doing just that. Okay, in a matter of moments, hopefully we're going to be joined by Jared Cannonier. Oh, I should go the opposite way, right? That's what we like to do. 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be joined by the aforementioned Israel Adesanya, the undisputed UFC middleweight champion. Look at this man. Future is so bright, he needs to wear shades at all times. Got so much ice, you can skate on it. I mean, look at him. Amazing. What a star. Fighting out of Nigeria. And, of course, New Zealand, City Kickboxing. We'll talk to him. He's going to be waking up very early. Speaking of waking up early, Dan Hooker, the hangman. He's going to be joining us at 3:50 to talk about his big win. Brad Riddell. We're going to go 3 for 3 with the City Kickboxing guys. He'll join us, talk about his debut. Also, by the way, he's striking coach for Alex Volkanovski. A lot of people don't know that. So we'll get his thoughts on that. Jake Hager made his AEW debut. Big weekend for MMA fighters. I know he's more of a pro wrestler, but now fighting for Bellator, fighting later this month. Going over to pro wrestling because Jake Hager made his AEW debut, but bigger than that, Cain Velasquez made his WWE debut and confronted Brock Lesnar. We'll talk to him about that later in the show. That was a lot of fun as well. That's at 3:20. Max Holloway, the reigning defending UFC featherweight champion, will join us. Blessed at 3 o'clock. At around 2:35, we'll be joined by Miesha Tate, the vice president of One Championship. Talk about the big card this weekend. How about Iron Mike Tyson making his second appearance in the history of the program? Last time, 2012. He's got a lot going on. Has some news to share as well. Iron Mike will join us at 2:05. And Mackenzie Dern also will join us at 1:45. Talk about her return 4 months after having a baby. She goes up against Amanda Rebus this Saturday. In a matter of moments, we'll be joined by Jared Cannonier. Before we get to Jared Cannonier, coming off that big win over Jack Hermansson in Denmark. Didn't have a show last Monday, so I want to talk to him about the win and also his middleweight future, Israel's win, all that. Let me tell you about our good friends over at Vivid Seats, if you don't mind. By the way, TST, Corporate Jake, did a great job of finding some new music for me.
Oh, fantastic. That's Wednesday's show, right?
It's...
on Wednesday's show?
That's on Wednesday's show.
Yeah,
yes, I don't know if you heard.
No,
now we have the Helwani Show pod on Wednesday. Actually, this week we're not doing it because it's Yom Kippur. We'll both be fasting, I think. Or I think you kind of cut corners, right? You stop at like...
fast. 100%.
You go... Wow, okay. Well, anyway, no show. But I gave you 2 shows last week. I gave you the Chris Jericho interview and also the regular Wednesday show. So no more MMA report. It's just a Helwani Show pod. Heavily, leaning towards the media side of things, but, just kind of opening the doors and broadening the horizons. Anyway, TST is providing some great music. You seem to be going back to the same old. But anyway, let me tell you about our good friends over at Vivid Seats as you take a look at some of the notable victories and fights from this past Saturday, UFC 243. I love Vivid Seats. They're the best. They supported our road show back in June, so I'm very loyal to them. And these days, there's a lot going on in the world of sports. You got football, you got baseball players, you got the return of the NBA, you got the NHL, you got MMA, you got a ton going on. In case you don't know, Vivid Seats is an online event ticket marketplace dedicated to providing fans of live entertainment with experiences that last a lifetime. With Vivid Seats, listeners can watch their favorite teams and artists perform in person, earning credit back on all purchases made through the Vivid Seats app via the Vivid Seats Rewards loyalty program. Vivid Seats helps fans find their seats to any of their favorite live events, including sports, concerts, theater, and a whole lot more, all through the Vivid Seats app. And what I love about Vivid Seats is that they offer great prices and an easy purchasing experience, as well as an in-app loyalty program. They call that the Vivid Seats Rewards. Also, the song that TST picks for me is very long, so it doesn't...
Fantastic.
And... but anyway, I'll keep reading. With the reward statuses ranging from MVP to Hall of Famer, customers can earn from 10% up to 16% credit on all their purchases through the app. Go to the App Store or Google Play and download the Vivid Seats app. Fans are automatically enrolled in the Vivid Seats Rewards loyalty program. And best of all Vivid Seats confirmed orders are backed by 100% guarantee. Enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order. ESPN 25th anniversary of the worldwide leader. So please support them because they support us. All right, let's get to our first guest of the day. This man was victorious a couple weekends ago in beautiful Copenhagen. He has burst through the middleweight doors and is now a legit player at 185 pounds. Went from heavyweight to light heavyweight, now middleweight. He is the great Jared Cannonier joining us first on today's show. Jared, how are you?
I'm doing good, Ariel. I'm glad to be back on the show yet again.
Yes, sir. Several appearances this year, and it's great to talk to you after the big win a couple weekends ago in Copenhagen. First, let's talk about this past Saturday. Adesanya, Whittaker. I'm sure you were interested in the fight. Did you watch it?
I certainly did. I watched it. It was definitely an exciting fight to watch. Both of those guys definitely showed what they're made of, and it was just fun to watch. Fun to see Adesanya come out on top, get the belt, and just watch him perform again. It's always fun to watch him perform. And same thing goes to Whittaker. It was always good to watch him go and do his thing. And it was definitely exciting to watch. It was another learning experience, watching 2 high-level fighters go at it like that and with high stakes. So it was definitely good to watch.
Are you a fan of Israel's?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I've been a fan of him before he got in the UFC. Actually, I remember I was working at the FAA desk when I first discovered him. I saw some of his kickboxing highlights.
Wow.
And I was like, man, this dude's pretty good. You know what I'm saying? He was throwing up all these nice techniques and stuff, and with confidence and with power. So yeah, but I remember I was working at the FAA desk when I first discovered him, and I was already a fan right off the top.
Were you hoping that he won that fight because, maybe he's a bigger star right now and a fight against him could be bigger than a potential fight down the line? Like with Israel's champion, it seems like the middleweight division has been raised a little bit, the profile that is.
Yeah, I guess that's true, if you want to consider the business side of things, but I don't think in that regard. I didn't care who won either way. I was just looking and excited to see a good contest between 2 high-level competitors.
Did you think he would win, and did you think he would win like that, like with a finish?
Well, absolutely. They're both capable of doing getting those type of wins. So yeah, I wouldn't expect anything less from him. His counter game was on point that day. So yeah, and it definitely showed. So yeah, it was a good a good one to watch.
How do you feel about the dancing and all that stuff?
That's it was cool to watch. You know what I'm saying?
Not your style?
That's his not necessarily my style, but I can't hate on him for doing something that I wouldn't do. So he wasn't hurting nobody, you know what I'm saying? He was getting in his own groove, doing his own thing. You can't do nothing but respect that and acknowledge that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? This is the way he moves, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't care about anything or anyone outside of what he wants to do and what he's going to get done in there. So if he wants to come out and do a little dance routine, you know what I'm saying, get in the groove. And to be honest, I can understand how that can actually get him in the right mindset, because crumping is a very intense form of art, you know what I'm saying? And it can really bring out an intense how can I explain it? Like I guess I don't want to say aggressive mindset, but you know what I'm saying, it can really get a guy in the right mind to go out there and fight the way he did. So I can understand it, you know what I'm saying? I definitely acknowledge it, and I definitely won't hate on it. So good for him. It definitely got him a whole bunch of more fans, so you
Yes.
definitely can't hate on that.
Absolutely not. So it seems like there's a thing between him and Paulo Costa. I know you have your eyes on that title, but do you feel like that's going to be the next fight? And you're still maybe 1 or 2 away.
Who knows what's going to happen in the future, right?
Okay.
At this point in time, the way the landscape looked, yes, you could definitely say I have 1 or 2 more fights before I get a title shot. Or Paulo Costa can get hurt and nobody else is available.
Oh.
Or you know what I'm saying? It could be another situation with Israel and Whittaker. You know what I'm saying? Izzy can get hurt. And then the next thing you know, they need another interim belt. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But anything can happen. I don't like making predictions, because if I make a prediction, that essentially seals the deal on the future, when there's so many different possibilities that one can take from an opportunity like this. So I'm not going to say this is what's going to happen, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to be ready for whatever's going to happen, and I'm going to hope for the best.
Okay, and so you have a situation where if it is Costa versus Israel Adesanya, who do you think makes sense for you? Have you thought about that? Like, now that Whittaker is no longer champion, there's Till Gaslam coming up, Romero's out there. Who do you think makes sense for you to really take that next step?
Any of those guys. Anybody ahead of me moves me closer to a title fight. I would think a fight with Whittaker will put me closer to a title fight than a fight with any of those other guys. If I were to put him in, rank him and put him in a number or anything like that. So I would say Whittaker, because he just came back he just lost the title. He didn't look bad in his efforts. He looked great. I thought he looked great. I think he's going to only look better, especially after being off for as long as he did. So I think he'll look better in his next outing. The same thing, and the same goes with Jack. You know what I'm saying? People, since I beat him, people are starting to write him off. But that dude's still an animal too, and he's still up there in the mix. But everybody's mentioning the fight with Romero. I don't care either way, as long as it moves me forward closer to the title. If it has to be one fight to get to the title, then the one that's going to get me there.
I remember when we talked after the Brazil experience and they didn't treat you well, and you referenced the scene in My Girl, and that was very memorable. I thought you weren't given the credit that you deserved after that victory. It seems like you're getting the credit that you deserve after this one. But overall, what was the experience like? I've heard that Denmark is a wonderful place. I've never had the pleasure. I've heard the people are incredibly nice. Did you feel the love from the people? It seemed like they were giving you love afterwards, even though you beat a guy who's not from there, but closer than where you live in Arizona. Did you feel like you were respected a little more over there as opposed to the last time in Brazil?
Well, I was respected in Brazil, outside of, the whole fight and the post-fight, everything, how that played off. Everybody else was cool, But as far as that goes, yeah, everybody, the energy there was definitely wonderful. There's a lot of people biking around, you know what I'm saying? Not too many people who's overweight over there. And I feel a healthy lifestyle leads to a more positive disposition. So the energy was, I could definitely feel the energy. It was definitely a good vibe that was going on over there. And yeah, it was definitely a good place, a place I would like to go back to, take the family, visit, someplace to get away because it's very green. Again, very fresh air. I think I could do a lot of good energy work in a place like that.
Yeah, you seem to be really into energy these days. I noticed you're wearing something around your neck, and I remember watching the post-fight show. You were talking to Tyron Woodley about it. What is that one?
This one is selenite.
Okay. Yeah. And what does it do?
And this one is helps with what's the word? Not clarity is the word I'm thinking about. It's a very high vibrational stone. There's a bunch of different things that it does, but I like to use it for clarity, to help cleanse and clear out my aura, so I can think clearly, move and act clearly, receive and perceive things in a more clear manner. Just clarity is the main thing I really like to get out of selenite. It has a whole bunch of different benefits as well, attributes to it as well. But those are some of the ones. Again, my favorite being at this point in time is pyrite. And the piece you saw me on with when I was on that over there in Denmark was this piece right here.
Well, and what is that?
This is a good piece. This one is pyrite.
And what does that do?
Yeah. And this one is like it's like a protection stone. It helps with warding off negative energy or transforming negative energy into more positive energy. It also helps with will and courage, self-confidence, things of that nature. Wealth and abundance and prosperity are a few things that I really like to extract from this.
Wow.
And this is a really nice piece I got from Crystal Council. They hooked me up with a bunch of really nice pieces of crystals and stuff. And this is one of my favorites that I like to carry around. It's pretty hefty, pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So I could chunk it at somebody if somebody comes at me wrong.
Who got you into all of this?
I actually got myself into it, after moving down here, I had a lot more time to devote to myself. So just trying to find a better way to feel better about my, just what's the word? Self-development, self-improvement, all that other stuff you want to call it. And energy, I've really had a liking to energy, chi, chakra, however you want to call it. But just elevating my spirit, feeling better spiritually, which is going to lead to a better mental disposition, which is going to translate to a better physical, what's the word? Being, I guess.
I remember when I first noticed you, you were holding like the Torah and the Talis and all that stuff. You were into Judaism. No more, right?
Yeah. No more. I've actually put down all of
religion. Really?
Yeah.
Is this your religion?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it my religion.
Okay.
No, this is just me enhancing my spirit. You can call it a spiritual system or spirituality. If you want to call it religion, you can, but I think calling it a religion puts it in a certain,
right.
Makes you think of it a certain way when it's not, you know what I'm saying? When it's not that. So I feel if you want to call it that, I can call it nature's religion if you want to call it that.
I feel that.
But I don't like to call it religion. I don't want to put it in, make people think of it a certain way or anything like that. It's something personal to me. And although it has similarity to other things that's going on in the world, this is just something personal for myself alone. I don't do it with nobody else. And that's just it. There's no indoctrination involved with it. If anything, like I said, it's just for self-improvement, self-elevation, for me to be a better person.
And just curious, if you don't mind me asking, why did you drop all religion? Why do you feel like that was the best thing for you?
Well, I gained a bunch more knowledge about the world that we live in, religion's inception, how it came about, and that among other things. Just when you know better, I feel you got to do better. And I felt that not to say that religion is bad in any sense, in any form or way, you know what I'm saying? But I felt that I could derive more out of life by going this different route.
I like it and I respect it and I love. So you actually like walk around with these things, like you wear this when you go out. You walk around. Do you feel a difference? Like, did you feel like you were getting bad bad like energy towards you, evil eye, things like that? And now do you feel better? Do you feel freer? Do you feel like this isn't happening as much in your life?
I feel that not just through the stones do I feel that, you know what I'm saying? Through the release of a lot of things that I felt were burdening me, you know what I'm saying? Binding me to, especially to this 3D physical realm. When there's when people we talk about heaven and angels and stuff, and where do they exist? Can I go there? You know what I'm saying? And just just really breaking free of all the way of thinking that a lot of people have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um just trying to escape I don't know. I don't know. Just
I
it's
love
hard
it.
to explain.
I get it.
You know, that and to me, and that's why it's so personal, you know what I'm saying? I can't really explain it to anybody. You know what I'm saying? One has to experience it. It can't be I can't tell you what it feels like. And you have to experience it for yourself, but you have to be open to be able to experience it. A lot of people, and I feel that some religions and some doctrines close us off to those things.
Okay. Does your family feel the same? Like, does your wife feel the same as far as the stones and all that? Are they on board with this?
Yeah. I mean, my wife is. She dabbles in it a little bit. But she's more free thinking. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't want to be bound to any type of to any particular way of thinking or anything like that. So again, she's finding her own way, and I don't really ask her about it. You know, we don't talk too much about it. Um, we do, we have our conversations and stuff, and to be honest, I feel like we're just babes figuring out what world do we live in. So we bounce ideas off of each other. We talk to each other about certain things, and I give her my opinion, she gives me hers, and we try to juggle those thoughts around in our mind and try to not necessarily find the answer, but find a way to move, I guess.
Prior to the fight against Jack, there were some cool videos put together of you as a heavyweight, then transforming into the light heavyweight, then middleweight. And I'm wondering now, like when you're in between fights, and of course you fought, 10 or so days ago, how big do you allow yourself to get?
That's a personal question.
Oh, I was just curious. I mean, your weight has been a big part of your story, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I was getting a call from Lou, my manager.
Oh, Lou the man. I love Lou.
Yeah, it's probably some good news if he calls.
Shouldn't he know that you're on the air right now? He helped book this.
I know, right? He knows I'm on it. So it must be some really big news.
Oh, you want to take that call and call us back?
Can I do that? We're live. I can't do that.
Yeah, I know. All right, well, keep us posted afterwards. But I'm just curious about the weight. Don't try to change the subject.
Well, I would show you my fat belly right now, but but I get up, I can get up there 215, 220, if I'm not working out, which is what I'm not doing now. So I'm full of water. I still drink water, but I'm eating heavy. My belly's kind of extended a little bit. But if I started to work out today, you know what I'm saying, those numbers would get way back down. Being at 220, I can get back down to 212, 210 in a matter of days just by eating right and flushing it out by working out and stuff like that. But I'm just taking a break right now.
Uh-huh.
While I'm in the off season, but I'm working out, I'm like 215, 212, 211. And then when I'm like 7 weeks out from the fight, the numbers start getting in low teens. Not low teens, but yeah, low teens, high teen or high twos.
Okay. And realistically, would you like to fight again this year, or are you done for the rest of the year?
Well, that depends on what they come up with. If it's the right fight, hell yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
As long as my body's right. Today I go to the doctor and get the results from X-ray I had on my chest and MRI I had on my knee.
Oh, what's wrong with your chest?
Well, Jack kicked me in my in the body, and
okay.
I think he may have dislodged or displaced a rib. You know what I'm saying? Costa cartilage displacement, I think is what they call it. I don't know the medical term, but where the bone and the cartilage meet, it got like kind of moved around right there.
Okay.
So and the knee could be potential meniscus damage. It could just been trauma from checking kicks and moving around like in the fight and stuff. I've had a meniscusectomy. I don't know what they call it. A meniscus removal procedure done on my knee before. And I don't think that was going to be too serious. I think it actually feels a lot better. Just giving it time to heal. The swelling has gone down a little bit. So, but the rib, I think, is definitely going to take maybe another 3-4 weeks maybe to fully heal. So I can get back in there at the end of the year.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll wait and see. You're certainly in that discussion right now, in that title picture, if you will. Interesting times at 185 with the new champion, and I'm curious to see what they come up for. I like the Whittaker idea very much. I like all these ideas. So keep on doing your thing, my man. Congratulations on the victory. I love the Stones talk. I love all that stuff. Just keep doing you, Jared. Keep doing your thing. I'm glad they treated you well out there in Denmark, and we'll talk to you very soon. Good luck with the results on the tests as well.
Thank you very much, man.
All right,
I will keep doing my thing. I can't do nothing but be honest with myself, and in doing so, being honest with everybody else. So,
I love that. All right, we'll talk to you soon, Jared. All the best to you. There he is, Jared Cannonier, one of the top contenders at 185 pounds. Very interesting times at middleweight these days. All right, let's turn our attention briefly here to this weekend. I told you at the top of the show, it's a phenomenal weekend of fights. PFL on Thursday, the One Championship 100th event, Ryzen and Cage Warriors, and the UFC in Tampa. And one of the most interesting stories on this card is the return of Mackenzie Dern. In case you forgot, Mackenzie Dern had her first child, beautiful baby, in June. Almost exactly 4 months later, she's back in the cage this weekend against Amanda Ribas, and there she is. Mackenzie Dern, kind enough to join us on the program. Mackenzie, how are you?
Hi, Ariel. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. It's great to talk to you. I have to say, I'm a little surprised that you're back so soon. Was this always the plan, to come back 4 months after giving birth?
Yeah, I'm not 4 months, but I definitely want to get back this year. I think I told that to you in the beginning of the year. You didn't believe me.
No, I didn't, because that was before you gave birth. Now, afterwards, it's a lot different after you experience. At least that's what my wife tells me.
Yeah. No, definitely, like, I want to get back even sooner training. I thought that, like, as soon as I gave birth, the next week I'd be able to be back training, and it wasn't that easy. I had to stay, like, I think it was 1 month, kind of just going slow and everything. But 6 weeks I was back to doing jiu-jitsu, and I think it was 4 weeks I was back to doing Muay Thai and that type of stuff. So went good, and it was really the hardest part, honestly, was to get the UFC to let me fight. They were like, no, it's too soon, you could get injured, no, the weight cut, everything like that. I said, man, come on, guys, I can do it. So I'm just happy that they were able to I was just happy that they were able to let me do this fight, and I'm so excited to be back in the UFC.
So what did they make you do? Because didn't you have to go to, like, the PI and do a bunch of tests and things like that?
Yeah, they wanted to see my weight, and like, after, they were actually really surprised with my weight, and they wanted to see like, how much resting, when I'm resting, if my body is burning more, like, carbohydrates or fat, and that type of tests. And everything was, like, pretty good. They were kind of surprised, but then they started to get in, like, well, you're breastfeeding. What's that going to change? Is your daughter's molar going to be like, is she going to get all the nutrients she needs because you're going to be dieting and everything? So they were concerned with lots of things. I needed to get, like, all of my doctors here in California to talk to them on the phone. It was like a kind of a big thing to get them to let me go. But finally, they didn't really have any more excuses to say that they can't let me fight. All the doctors would say, no, she's good to fight and everything. So then they let me go. So I'm excited.
It's amazing. You're a real inspiration for someone, to come back this soon after going through that is really incredible, especially to go out and fight. And I'm wondering if, like, initially, like, just off the bat, I know this was your plan pre giving birth, but afterwards, like, did you find yourself a little sluggish? Did you find it hard to get back into a groove, or did you think that it happened rather quickly, or maybe even quicker than you thought?
Like, I felt good, I felt great. What everyone's, fans and just people commenting and everything, they say, like, man, it's crazy. So for me, like, just my day-to-day and myself, I thought, like, oh, it's going good, like, not too fast, not too slow. Of course, like, the first couple weeks was, like, trying to punch, and, like, everything was slow and just kind of, like, wiggling around, like, my body wasn't like, toned and everything. But the same as, like, when I came back from knee surgery and all that stuff, So, I mean, I've been through things similar, and I just felt like kind of the same. When I had my ACL surgery, it was 4 months, too, that I came back to competing. So I kind of just felt Of course, I had days where I cried during the whole camp, thinking like, man, am I going to be ready? Moa, she's crying, or I go home and I'm so tired. But it's normal, everyone goes through things. And I wouldn't take back anything. I think I made a great decision. Winning or losing, I don't know. Of course, I'm going in there to win. I think people are going to be so surprised with the Mackenzie they're going to see. But of course, we know a fight, anything can happen. So winning or losing, I think I made a great decision to get back fighting right now at this 4 months. And I think it's good, it's cool to see, I think I have different fans, I had lost 20,000 fans when I said I was pregnant, and when I posted the first picture of my husband.
Wow.
And yeah, after Mo was born, I gained more than 20,000 back, So I think it's a new, different type of public. Maybe I have more moms following and just people kind of inspired by maybe the story. I don't know, But
Wow.
It's really cool.
That is cool. And shame on those people for unfollowing. I asked our research department if there's, examples of people in MMA coming back this quickly. And there's only really two notable examples. Michelle Watterson came back 10 months after having her baby. And PFL's Roberta Samad came back 2 years later. Kat Zingano and Sarah McMahon had babies before, their MMA careers. I know Sarah recently had a baby, but she hasn't come back yet. Alexis Davis as well. But this might be the quickest one. Are you familiar with anyone who has come back to combat sports this quickly after having a baby?
This quickly. I mean, I know a couple girls in jiu-jitsu, that they went back to jiu-jitsu. Was competing the world championships. I think maybe 6 months after her baby. It was a girl that I trained. I fought a lot. But yeah, I mean, I know Michelle Watterson. She's on the card too in Tampa. So it'll be cool, the mom champs. I always see her talking about that. I think it's so cool. And it really is crazy. You just have a different strength, It's something from within. It changes you. I'm such a more mature fighter in person. It's crazy.
Do you find that you have a different mindset going into this fight? I've talked to a lot of male fighters who became dads, and we saw what happened to Cerrone this year after becoming a father, talking about having a different kind of inspiration and focus. I know the fight hasn't happened yet, but just in the buildup, now that you have a child and you're fighting for a lot more than just yourself, do you find your approach to the fight is a little different?
For sure. Totally. 100% different. Stronger, little things that during my camps and stuff would kind of bother me. Now I don't feel it, man, that's nothing, compared to, okay, is my daughter good? Is everything fine? She got her passports and everything, so it's still being a wife and a mom in training. It's training seems so easy, compared to how it was before. It's great.
Is she coming to the fight?
Yeah, she'll be there, of course.
Wow. Is she going to be there all fight week as well?
Yeah, she goes with me tomorrow. Tomorrow we go out Tuesday. Dad stays here for a couple more days, so she'll just be with me and Grandpa. My dad's going to be in my corner for the first time. My first fight, my fight in Brazil was the first time he saw me fight live. I don't know if you remember, but before he didn't really support me. Of course he supported my dreams, but he didn't want me to be in MMA. So took a while for him to watch me fight live. So Brazil was the first time he saw me fight live, and now he's going to be in my corner, so I'm so excited. So
wow.
Grandpa will be there, my daughter will be there. Will be a great, I think it's going to be a good event. I'm so excited. Yeah,
and for those that don't know, your father's a legend in the jiu-jitsu world, Megaton Diaz, Wellington Diaz. So for him, how did that come about? Did you ask him? Did he consider it? Did he say he wants to be in your corner? This is a really big deal.
Yeah, it's huge. Even with jiu-jitsu, he's been my coach my whole life. But when I became black belt, I think he just loves me so much, sometimes coach and everything, it's go, 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 he's so excited. And, sometimes you just need someone who loves you and wants the best, but they're not emotionally involved, and, going into MMA, knowing how he felt about me doing MMA, he wanted me to stay in jiu-jitsu. And, I didn't want him to see me in the sauna, suffering and all these things, or my dad can be extra hard on me and just hold me in the sauna. Or he'll oh, no, my baby girl, come out. So it was a big, process. And I didn't want to ruin, our relationship as father and daughter. He's my coach my whole life. So I wanted this to be, a father-daughter experience, me and MMA and everything. And, just I was 10 months out of jiu-jitsu, you know, so I felt the most comfortable having like my jiu-jitsu coach, my dad, with me in this fight, you know, with my fight back. And I asked him, and, you know, he's like, "Are you sure? Is that what you want?" I said, "Yeah, of course, you know, like, I want you to be there." So I think we'll be really good to have him there. I'm so excited. I think he's excited too.
I bet.
He's going to have his clothes, you know, the Reebok clothes and everything.
And which camp did you train out of, or who did you train with? Because I know a lot was made last year about the lab and all that. Who did you train with for this one?
Yeah, this camp we did like really privately, you know. I didn't, you know, my whole camp is at Black House MMA, but really now it's just kind of like the Mackenzie Dern camp, you know. So I have like Bubba Jenkins, he's my wrestling coach. Juan Gomez, Brazilian Samurai, he's my Muay Thai coach. And I trained a lot at the Mendes Brothers in Costa Mesa. My jiu-jitsu, my dad is in Arizona, you know, so it's hard, you know, I couldn't train, but he's coming out with me the whole week of the fight, you know, to correct those little details, you know, that I missed. So my camp was really just, I picked the people who I feel the most comfortable with, and I brought them in like more for me. So I like it. I like that, you know. I think feeling really good, and you know, they all believe in me. You know, it's like hard to pick people who would understand, like, hey, I'm going to get late to training sometimes, you know, hey, I'm going to have to like rearrange the trainings, you know, like not have a specific schedule, you know, because with a newborn baby, training, okay, every day at 12 o'clock. But, you know, I had to like call in and say, hey, coach, can we push training to like 5 tonight? You know, I can't make it, you know, so it was kind of hard, you know, but I'm glad I picked the coaches I did. And I think we make a good team, and it's going to be good.
I like that model. That's more of the boxing model where everything revolves around you. It's your camp, and you don't have to split time with anyone else. So I actually feel like MMA is moving a little more in that direction these days. I'm wondering if you considered 125 at all. Was that on the table? Were you always planning on 115, or did you? Because I know there's been talk of that as well. What were you thinking?
Yeah, I'm like I don't know how to say, but like not selfish, but like I always like. I'm stubborn. I'm so stubborn, you know. So for me, the whole time is, oh no, I'm 115. The UFC, of course, they're like, no, you know, think about the 125. I told my manager, like, no, I don't want to do 125. I'm gonna go 115, and he said, okay, let me see a picture of the scale, you know. So one of the scale was like 128, I think 129, and this was like 8 weeks out, or more than 8 weeks. It was like 10 weeks out. And he said, what? You know, like, okay, your weight's so good. You know, I said, yeah, I know. It's like going down, you know, like I don't even understand till today. I don't know how my weight is doing so good, you know. I just have like 5 pounds left. I'm 120. So like wow. 5 pounds to 115, you know, 4 to 116. And, you know, I'm eating, you know, I'm not like suffering, you know, I'm like, of course I'm eating kind of like clean, but I'm eating like I'm full, you know, when I eat, I get full. But I think just the breastfeeding and all the trainings and yeah, I don't know. It's just the weight's going down. I think my metabolism's changed with the pregnancy and everything. So the weight's going down, and I'm happy about that. I'm so excited. It's like one camp that I didn't have to think about the weight. You know, I just thought about getting better and getting my technique better. And you know, I didn't know how the fight with Amanda Ribas is gonna be. You know, because she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and judo. So you know, it's kind of like a weird camp because I don't know, like, when I'm a striker, I know that they want to stay striking, you know, but I don't know if she wants to go to the ground or if she wants to stay standing up. So I just was working to be like the best Mackenzie, ready for anything.
Usually on the Monday before a fight, like of the recent ones, are you 120 for a strawweight fight, or is this lower than usual?
No, this is lower than, I've never been like 120 on a Monday, you know, like
wow.
fight week, you know.
That's amazing.
So it's like, yeah, it's really crazy, you know, but I mean, I guess you could see like good and bad, you know. Some people say like, man, she's too light, you know, she's going to be like weak. I don't know, you know, but I feel so good. I feel strong. Like I feel strong for being 120. Usually when I fight, like when I was fighting 120, I'd already be feeling like weak and not strong, not explosive, but I feel like 120 strong, you know. So I'm like, man, so good. I'm excited.
Your last fight.
I don't know how the last 5 pounds are gonna come off. You know, I don't know if like that's gonna be hard. But right now I'm not too worried about it. I think we'll come off good, you know. But I haven't like tried to do like, I don't know, hard cardio yet or anything. Right. I'm still drinking water and everything, so we'll see.
Your last fight was May of 2018. I'm wondering, are you a believer in ring rust? Do you think that it will take some minutes, seconds to get a little comfortable in there? Do you feel like it'll be rusty? How do you feel like it will be once the fight actually starts?
No, I think I'll feel good. You know, I've competed my whole life, you know, so I'm getting into the fight, and like I said before, I've had like surgeries before, ACL and all these things, and so it's I'm really excited. I think we'll be good. I think I'll fight good, like no nervous or anything like that.
And as far as Rebus is concerned, I know you just talked about her a little
Sorry,
bit.
my husband.
Oh,
Ciao, baby. Bye, baby. He's leaving.
have a good day. Professional surfer, right?
Yeah, amor, vem aqui. How you quer ver? Yeah, he's going to surf right now.
Oh, wow. Where do you guys live? California?
Huntington.
Hello.
Guys.
Wow. Look at this guy.
How are you?
You're the coolest man in the world. So is he going to just like train right now? What is he going to do?
Yeah, training.
Wow, that's
going
amazing.
down too.
How did you guys meet?
Train. After party, surf competition after party.
Wow. And
was actually at the UFC in Los Angeles that they had. I think was Cody, No Love,
Yeah.
and TJ Dillashaw when he fought here, and was a surf competition too, and was like kind of after party for both together. So it was cool.
do you surf as well?
Yeah, I just went surfing this weekend. It was so much fun. It was good to kind of take that off my mind, you know, the fight. I'm so focused on the fight, you know, but it's good to have like a rest and, you know, enjoy the sun and the water and everything.
And does he still compete? He's a professional surfer, right?
Yeah.
He still
Professional surfer.
competes, right?
Yeah, 1 week after the fight, we go down to Mexico. He has a competition down there, so he'll go with me to the fight. And
Wow.
then from there, we go straight to Mexico, the whole family, to watch Dad compete too. So it's really cool.
For those that want to look him up, his name is Wesley Santos, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Just want to mention his name as well. I just wanted to ask you about Rebus. Is because of her background in jiu-jitsu, is this someone that you had on your radar, someone that you've been thinking about fighting for a while?
No, I haven't. I didn't see her fight in the UFC before they told me about her. I didn't. I never heard of her in jiu-jitsu either. You know, so when I thought, oh, she's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, like, of course, black belt is a black belt, you know. But I've never like heard of her in the IBJJF tournaments or anything like that. Which is hard, you know. It's almost better when you know the person, you know, because like, oh, okay, I've seen her fight before and everything. Her, she's like a black belt, but I never seen her fight, so I don't know what's her style, what game she does. She's a guard player, top. When my manager just mentioned her, they had a very few people that they offered me because I'm undefeated, you know. You can't just like give someone who lost and everything, and where I'm trying to get back into the ranking. So when he offered like her, I didn't know who she was, and then he said, oh, she just fought Emily. So then I saw the fight, and then I saw how she was. But yeah, I didn't know too much about her. But she seems tough, you know. She's a great. I think it's a good fight. I'm kind of happy, you know. Like people won't be able to say, "Oh, the UFC gives her easy fights." You know, she's a tough girl, and she's gonna be like way more aware of my jiu-jitsu, you know. And that's like where I win, you know, with the girls being scared of the ground to go to the ground with me. So I know she won't be scared of going to the ground. So I think it will be a good fight. And was the whole camp, people were going to say like, oh no, Mackenzie's better, like standing up, you know, the ground is good. She's moving fast for 120 pounds, you know, so I think it'll be good.
And so it's such a great story to see you back, because I think that some people thought, oh, you know, once she gave birth, maybe this will be her out from MMA. She doesn't like to get hit. She doesn't like to strike as much. Here you are telling all the haters, all the doubters, no, not only do I like it, not only am I going to be the first mom champion, I'm coming back 4 months after I give birth. So, you know, you can all shove it, right? This is amazing. Because I think a lot of people thought this, right? Or maybe you'd use this as an excuse to go to 125. No, I mean, you're just like sticking it to everyone here in one fell swoop. It's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the comments and everything, it's like so much quieter. My Instagram and everything I said, like, it's like, man, there's like, I don't know where everyone went, you know, all the people who were saying everything. But, you know, I don't do it like to get, you know, to show anyone. I do it for me, you know, like for me, my family. I'm feeling like better than ever, and I think that's like what's in me, and that I think that's what I needed, you know. Like I know I believe in God and everything, so I think He made for a reason. Before, of course, I took it serious, you know, fighting and everything, but I'm young, you know, like to party, all these things, you know. So like, oh, you need the money? Like, okay, I need money. Yeah, okay, I'll fight. You know, oh, it's okay, I'll take a vacation. Now it's like, no, I missed it so much. This 10 months out was like I was missing to be there in the fight and being on the mats and being in the ring and you know, watching the whole, even though I was out, was the whole year watching people fighting and all the fights going on and people winning and losing. I said, man, I want to be there too. You know, I miss it. So I'm excited to get back, and I think people are going to be real excited. And I hope people like the story, you know, like of just my comeback and everything.
Oh, it's an amazing story. I wish you the best. Again, congratulations. Your daughter is very cute. I wish you you all a lifetime of happiness, and I wish you the best on Saturday. Welcome back. This is an amazing story, and you're a real inspiration to a lot of people, moms and non-moms. Just for someone to do this so soon after is really great stuff. Good luck in the fight, Mackenzie. Great to talk to you again.
Thanks, Ariel. Have a good day.
All right, there she is, Mackenzie Dern, and this is a really fun card on Saturday. It's in Tampa. It's supposed to be in San Francisco, as you may recall, but they moved it to Tampa because of some logistical issues. Main event is Joanna Jędrzejczyk going up against Michelle Waterson, and that's an important fight at 115. Could the winner emerge as a number one contender in the strawweight division? Of course, there's still Tatiana Suarez out there. There's Rose Namajunas, who, by the way, was recently, this past Saturday, to be exact, inducted into the Lithuanian American Hall of Fame, which is a great honor for her. Still hasn't talked about where she's at, how she's feeling about returning to the cage, but she's out there. 115 is very interesting. Mackenzie Dern returning as well. So Waterson Jędrzejczyk would certainly, the winner of that fight would certainly take a massive step forward, but I wouldn't rule out Suarez or Rose for the new champion, Zhang Weili, and we still don't know what's next for her. She is supposed to be flying, by the way, Zhang Weili, to Boston for the UFC Boston card next weekend, and I'm told she's having some visa issues, and they're working on it. I think she's scheduled to maybe meet one of her favorite athletes, the great Tom Brady. So we'll see. Hopefully, it'll be good for the UFC to have her in the U.S. to do some promotional work. But this card is very interesting. Of course, Kron Gracie returning. That's amazing against Cub Swanson. Brock Weaver, unfortunately, is out. He will not be fighting Thomas Gifford. MMAJunkie.com reported that late last night. So they're looking for a new opponent for Thomas Gifford. The return of Luis Pena on the card as well. Eric Anders, Nico Price against James Vick, which is James Vick's 170-pound debut. So a lot of interesting names on this particular card, and this is a very busy weekend in MMA because not only do we have the UFC in Tampa, we've got One Championship's 100th event, Century, DJ on the card, Angela Lee, Christian Lee. They've actually got a two-part card, and the first part is airing live on TNT right after the UFC on ESPN Plus card. You've got Bellator in Europe and Cage Warriors and Ryzen. One of those rare, if KSW and maybe LFA were doing, you pretty much have every major promotion doing a show. And in addition to all of that, you also have the return of PFL. In fact, it's the PFL playoffs this Thursday. PFL playoffs on Friday, huh? Really? Thank you, Corporate Jake. I didn't realize that. Yeah, there it is, October 11th. I thought it was a typo. They've been doing Thursday all year long. But there it is. Yes, PFL. Look at this lineup right here. PFL playoffs on Friday, Ryzen on Saturday, Fight Night UFC on Saturday, then Bellator, then One Championship. It's insane. Anyway, back to PFL. This Friday, Las Vegas, their Las Vegas debut. World Series of Fighting, ran shows in Las Vegas, but never PFL. And here we have Kayla Harrison fighting in the main event. This is the playoffs here, so you got to fight a couple times if you want to move forward. Sarah Kaufman on the card, Sada Busi. So a stacked card from top to bottom. Ray Cooper, a lot of interesting things. And with that in mind, I am absolutely honored to have this next guest on the program. He was on the program back in 2012. That was the one and only time he was on the show. But how about this? What a great pleasure it is to have the former heavyweight champion, the baddest man on the planet, Iron Mike Tyson.
Really?
How about that? Mike, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing really well. It's so great to see you. And by the way, I love the beard. I like this new beard that you got these days. It's very distinguished.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
My understanding, Mike, because I was just talking about PFL, my understanding is you're now involved with the Professional Fighters League. Is that accurate?
Yes, I would say that's accurate.
What are you doing for them?
Hey, I'm involved with them. I talked to the founder, Don, and we just working together. See, and we're trying to build this organization where it could reign with any fighting organization. Because when you're really thinking about it, it's only Bellator and the UFC, isn't it?
Yeah, those are the main ones in the States for sure.
Absolutely. And how many fans are they? A couple of 100 million fans?
Something like that, maybe less even.
Yeah, it's enough for everybody.
Of course. Now, what do you think of their format? Because they have this Friday. You got to fight a couple times. I know you're used to this back in the day, not as a pro, but Golden Gloves. You used to fight a couple times, right?
Yes, did that. Absolutely, yes. Sometimes 3 times.
What's the most amount of times you fought on one night?
It could have been 3 times. Maybe I knocked 2 guys out and one was a bye. One guy didn't show up or something like that. I didn't have to fight.
How do you feel about? Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying back then it was tough for me to get fights because I was young and I always had to lie about my age.
Really? Why?
Because I was too young to participate in the tournaments. The tournaments were always for guys 18 and up, 16 and up, and I was probably 14 or 15. So I always had to lie about my age.
What was the youngest age that you competed at?
14.
Wow, that is unbelievable. And you were knocking guys out?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Iron Mike Tyson. How about this? So great to have you on the show, Mike.
Awesome to be here.
How do you feel about pros fighting multiple times? You know, with everything that we know now about CTE and things like that, how do you feel about pros fighting a couple times a night?
It's pretty interesting. You know, you need more research on it, but it depends. So suppose the guy knocks everybody out in one round. Then it's good. Or suppose the guy have 3 wars and he's injured after 2 fights and he still has to go in and fight. Then that's something that we have to discuss as well, medically, that is.
Yeah. I know.
Say he wins the tournament, say he beats 2 guys, but he's pretty ravishly battered himself. Does he continue to go in and fight again with a fresh guy?
Then there's a bit of a mismatch, right?
Absolutely.
Are you joining us right now from the world-famous Tyson Ranch?
Absolutely. Their headquarters in El Segundo,
Los
Angeles, California.
For those that don't, I mean, it's an amazing thing what's happened to you, Mike, because I think you've enjoyed somewhat of a renaissance in your life. There was a time where maybe you were going down the path as you know, the ex-fighter who was robbed and didn't have anything to show for his career. But now it seems like, just looking at your social media, you've got your hands in a lot of different projects. You've got the podcast, the Hot Boxing podcast. You've got the Tyson Ranch. For those that don't know, how many things are you involved with right now?
Listen, it's me. I can't even remember them all. We have tell me about it. We have the carpet gel. It's just so many products. We have the drink. We have our fresh beverages, and we have an array of things going on. We have hot boxing, and everything's been overwhelmingly successful, and I'm really humbled.
How did you get into the cannabis business? Because this seems to be a big part of what you're doing right now.
Well, it really isn't. It appears to be, but it isn't. But let me explain it to you.
Okay.
I was shooting a movie. I believe it was Thailand somewhere, and my brother-in-law was discussing with the director, the producer of the movie, and he wanted to get into cannabis business. And somehow he made the pros and cons about it sound good, and it was no-brainer. So I was involved in the cannabis business. And the most important and more exciting than cannabis, and that's the pretty side, but the most important part about it is where we get our franchise and our finance from, the CBD, and that's pretty much taking over the world.
Yeah, everyone's using it. Like, athletes are using it now to heal up. Back when you were fighting, this didn't really exist. I mean, I guess you could smoke marijuana, but that was the only way that you can actually get the benefits of this, right?
Absolutely. It's not from a perspective of getting like what you could call high.
Right.
So we're getting healthy more so than high.
Okay.
And that's the biggest perspective of it all.
Did you do that a lot when you were fighting?
No, when I was a young kid, I used to smoke, like in my amateur days. But then I stopped when I was 17 or 18, and I didn't smoke again, I guess, until I was like 33.
Okay. And there was this big story that came out recently saying that you're smoking like $40,000 a month. Is that accurate?
Well, not me myself. You know, it's an array of people here that enjoy themselves and enjoy marijuana, and we smoke a great deal of it, yes.
Okay, and the podcast is Hot Boxing Podcast. You have famous people who come by, including Kayla Harrison, the two-time Olympic gold medalist. She sat down with you,
Yeah,
right?
she was awesome. Yeah, she was really an awesome guest. She really has a brilliant warrior soul. She's just, she's really an interesting woman. I was really honored to have her as a guest.
I enjoy the podcast very much, and also because I followed your career. I mean, you were one of those iconic figures when I was growing up. But at times, you had a bit of a contentious relationship with the media, and now here you are, the one booking guests, interviewing fighters and celebrities. What's it like for you to now have this role reversal where you're the one on the media side of things?
Hey, I have a great deal of, I don't think it's empathy, but sympathy for the athletes and the guests on my show. You know, formerly being one of them, I really understand, and I'm really cautious about what I say to them. I'm not intrusive, and I talk to them as human beings.
Would it be fair to say that throughout your career, you felt like people didn't do that to you?
No, most of my problem was caused by me. It was my ego to tell me how dare they were to talk to me like that. Shouldn't they know better? And that was just ridiculous stuff. I didn't know who I was back then. I didn't know how to handle who I was. I didn't understand who I was back then. I didn't know my purpose back then. So I had no self-love back then, so I showed it by being vicious and ferocious.
Do you ever watch that old Mike? Are you able to watch him? Are you able to watch those interviews?
I don't like watching him, but I understand he's me. I never close the door on him or forget him, but I never want him in my life again or around anybody I love.
Why don't you like watching him?
Because that's not who I am now.
And so how did you
I don't even know that guy. I just don't know him anymore. He's almost like a stranger to me.
Wow.
You know, I look at him and I'm proud of him and I think he's spectacular, but there's a real dark side there. A real dark that I don't like getting involved with anymore.
Do you remember how you were able to transition from that dark guy to this Mike Tyson that we see today? How were you able to do that?
Hey, it wasn't evil. It wasn't easy at all. It was doing a lot of inside. It was an inside job. It's just it's some really hard stuff, though. I'll tell you that. Get all that yucky stuff out of you.
Do you feel like you're officially removed from that guy, or is it still a work in progress?
Oh, it's always a work in progress. You know, I am that guy. That guy can always show up somewhere. You know, if I'm not cautious, if I'm not controlled of the way I think, my social environments.
Do you feel sometimes like if you get frustrated or upset or annoyed at someone that guy's starting to come out and you have to try to work?
I haven't felt that experience yet.
Okay. You know,
I'm not saying it could never happen. I haven't felt it yet in a few years.
I referenced you recently in an interview that I did with Conor McGregor. As you may know, Conor's going through a bit of a tough time now, trying to figure himself out and trying to get back on track. And I'm curious, you know, I asked him about not being the prototypical fighter who enjoys a lot of success and then sees it all kind of, you know, go away, right? See it all because of mistakes that he made. And I know that you can sympathize with that. Can I play you a clip that Conor said about being aware of this and get your reaction to it?
Go for it.
Okay, here's Conor talking about that.
As far as like my fellow colleagues, I deserve to be called out on it. I deserve to be called out on that behaviour. It's just unacceptable. There's no excuse to it. I deserve everything that comes my way with it. I need to just stop reacting to the bait. I've got to ask, like, people are trying to bait me into things. Am I the fish or am I the whale? I must be calm. I must be zen. I must lead by example. There's so many people looking up to me. How can I react in this way? I need to get a hold of this, and I'm working very hard to do this.
Do you sympathize with what he's saying there? You know, reacting to the bait. Am I the fish or am I the whale? Is this something that you experienced as well?
You know, Conor has to look inside himself and say and do this. What happened? Why am I the way I am? And how do I stop this from continuing to be?
You've met him before, right?
Oh yeah, I think he's an awesome guy.
I think he came to one of your shows, correct? In Ireland?
Yes, in Ireland he did. Yes.
What did you guys talk about?
He was we were just happy to see each other.
Okay,
he was looking real good.
Do you read about some of the things that he's doing? Like, you know, the problems that he's having, and does any of it remind you of some of the fighters that maybe even yourself about like that train?
Absolutely. Listen, We don't know. We don't know how to handle this stuff. We got millions of dollars. We never had this. Our family never had this. We never been around this life. How all of a sudden that people you start fighting, doing something you love to do, and you do it easy and it looks easy, and all of a sudden they give you a lot of money for doing it, but you don't have you don't have no restraint. You don't have no control. You don't know what to do. You give it away. You buy people gifts that don't deserve these gifts. You just don't know what to do with it. You feel you don't deserve it.
And no one really is there to kind of help you figure it out, right? Because you're just kind of figuring it out as it goes along, and you win all this money, and all of a sudden you're the man.
They don't know how to figure it out. They don't understand it. They never had it either.
Right.
You know. You feel it's almost like you don't feel deserving of it. I say I don't deserve this. I'm nobody. How come I deserve this? This is what I like to do. I just like to fight. You give me something I like to do, I'll do this for nothing.
You know, the first time I ever had you on my show back in 2012, I asked you about MMA and boxing, and you said something to me which stuck with me, and I was reminded of this yesterday, where you said, like, you want to see the MMA fighters make more money. You want to see them driving the fancy cars. You think that they should be making way more than they're making. Conor was kind of the first one to really break through that glass ceiling and start to make, $100 million. Do you feel like now the fighters are more, the MMA fighters are more on an even playing field with the boxers, or still not yet? Because you were very passionate about this, very fired up.
Listen, the MMA guys are big as the fighters are. There's no doubt. But why aren't they making the money that the fighters are making? How come more people are watching MMA than they're watching boxing? And boxing is making 3 times or 5 times more money than the MMA guys.
Why do you think that is?
Why is that? No, you tell me.
Well, I have a couple theories as to why that is.
Let's hear them.
Well, I think that the boxing model lends itself to the fighters making a lot more money, because here you have one organization, the UFC, which is a dominant brand, which for the longest time was the only game in town. And, when there's one game in town, you can afford to kind of dictate how much the fighters are going to make. In boxing, there's multiple promoters. You can be sort of the king of your own castle. You can be your own promoter like Floyd became, and thus you can control and get a bigger piece of that pie. And so the way MMA was structured for so long, there wasn't enough players. These days, there's a little more. The fighters are making more, Bellator, PFL, etc. So they're starting to make a little more, but it's nowhere near. I mean, Triple G just made $15 million for his last fight. There's only like one or two guys that can make that.
So check this out, right? A guy like Conor McGregor. So say this. I'm a superstar. I'm going to fight Floyd. I'm going to make money. I'm a big star. So imagine if the organization said this to him. Hey, Conor, I need you to be involved in this business. You need to be an executive for this business. For other fighters can see that not only are you a fighter, you could be involved with running the business. And so from that perspective, more fighters will come to that organization.
Yep. He's talked about that.
Opportunity to be executives, bosses, and running their own organization. Now we're building corporations, administrating self-wealth across the world.
So
we're building. We're going. We're not living no more. The organizations, the corporations, they're still building. They're still living.
So would it be fair to say you like the boxing model still better than the MMA model?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. But listen, the love that the MMA have, the camaraderie with the fighters, it's just second to none. You can't compare that with the fighters, because the fighters are individuals in which they have an organization. This is my gang. This is your gang. It's a fight. We're not friends or anything. We're just here. It's us. And anybody in MMA is more of it's more like a group. It's more like a club.
That's interesting.
Like I've been to an MMA rules meeting before, and they have all the fighters together.
Yeah.
And somebody dictates, and this is your guys got to put up good fights, and the best fighter is going to get a bonus, and this and that, whatever. Sometimes for fighters, or at least in my time, it's hard to even get guys in the same business. I wouldn't even be in the same room with the guy I was going to fight. Unless it's going to be a bunch of staring and talking shit to one another. Excuse me. Yeah, it's just awesome to see that happen.
And I know the fighters,
no chaos.
They look up to you. I saw this great footage of Rashad Evans and you on the sidelines of the Jacksonville Jaguars game recently, and you're showing him some tips and whatnot. And I don't know if you heard very shortly after that, I don't know if it was because of that interaction, Rashad announced that he's coming back to mixed martial arts. And I was wondering if you had any sort of feelings as to why it's so hard we're seeing a lot of MMA fighters go through this right now. I know it's a thing in boxing. Here we're seeing you and Rashad work together and talk together on the sidelines. It seems like it's very hard for these men and women to say goodbye in their 40s, even on these losing streaks. Why is it so hard in your opinion?
It's so hard because the belief that you have in yourself, you say, I can still do it. I still have it. And you never really know until you do it. You have to, that's why more so. Theory is great. The theory of fighting is great, but nothing's more exciting than the act of fighting. And that's more, that brings us back to act of fighting and the act of receiving the respect and the gratitude that you feel you deserve from your craft. Fighting is all spirit. It all has to do with spirit. It has nothing to do with the biggest guy, the strongest guy, the toughest guy. It's all about the belief in yourself and what you believe you're fighting for.
Did you have anxiety before your fights? Like, did you ever think, like, what am I doing here? Should I just leave this arena right now? Did you feel that way?
Absolutely. That's so strange you say. You ask an interesting question. But by the time I feel that way, by the time I'm walking into my arena, I think I'm a god. I think it's just a joke that I'm even here because whoever's going to fight me is just as good as dead. And how do I come from being scared and frightened to being that guy? And that's because I'm doing repetition of doing it every day and believing who I am every day and saying my affirmations every second on the day. And it's just, it has a lot of psychological aspects to it too. Fighting is just an amazing act. There's so much, physical is just 1% of it. If you look at it from that perspective, it's all spiritual and mental, psychological.
Up until what point did you get nervous in the process? Was it up to fight day, or was it earlier where that nerve, you know, those anxious feelings would turn into that confidence?
The day they told me I had to fight was when the nerves started.
And then when did they go away?
Second I got in the ring.
Wow. That is fascinating. Unbelievable. By the way, who inspired you to wear the all black, like the towel over your body and then the black shoes and the black shorts? That was iconic stuff. Who gave you that idea?
I used to watch the old fighters. And when I first started fighting, you notice I used to wear white and green, blue shorts, the Irish color shorts that I got from the Irish Olympic team. And so I used to wear shorts like that. Then eventually I just started wearing black because I saw Jack Dempsey and those guys fighting, and they looked really ominous. And that's why I saw that. And I said, those guys in the 20s and the teens, they look real ominous. Even some of them wasn't great fighters, but they looked like they were tough and ominous. And so I decided to wear that image of all black, no teeth, no robe, anything, because it gave the impression of really bad stuff was going to happen.
And the heavyweight division right now is on fire. You were the face of the heavyweight division for many years. How do you feel about the state of the heavyweight division? And I'm just curious, who do you think is the best heavyweight boxer that is on the planet right now?
Wow, there's a bunch of guys. Tyson Fury is pretty awesome. Dante Wilder is pretty. It's just a bunch of great fighters, man. Anthony Joshua, because he lost, he's still an awesome fighter. I don't have him wiped off by any means. Andy Ruiz, we did him on our show. He's a wonderful guy. You just want him to stay champion because you love him affectionately. He's just an awesome guy.
Yeah, I know you had him on a recent episode. Yeah, are you still there?
Yeah, he was. Yes, I'm here. He was just really a nice man. So you don't know. It's everything even fighter. These guys are all even. That's what makes it so exciting. If one guy was in the division wiping everybody out, then it would be he's gonna win. It wouldn't be exciting. But these guys are all even. Anybody could beat anybody.
And I'm wondering, I don't know if you saw this, but Tyson Fury actually made an appearance on WWE television, and apparently he's going to be doing a match for them. Reminded me of you, and it's kind of coincidental that we're talking to you now. You were very famously involved in a WWE angle back then, WWF, with Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold. Do you have fond memories of doing that?
Some of the best times of my life. Yes.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. Never forget them. I'm in the WWE Hall of Fame. It's one of the greatest moments of my life. Yeah, I have to say that.
You grew up a fan, right?
100% before boxing ever existed in my life.
Did you ever consider actually being a pro wrestler before a boxer?
100%. Man, what I used to do is I used to wear what was my mother's and my sister. I wear her panties. I put on some underwear under her panties, and I put a T-shirt on, and I put some T-shirts around my knees to make them knee pads, and then I think I was a wrestler.
Wow. Who was your favorite?
Bruno Sammartino.
That was your guy?
Yeah.
Why him?
He was a great champ. He was the Joe Louis of his day. He had so many title defenses. He had the title for 12 years. He won the title when I was born, I think.
Wow, that is amazing.
He lost it when I was 12 years old, something like that.
And so when they reached out, was it you who reached out, or was it they who called you to be a part of this angle initially?
I believe they called me, and it was at the time when I lost my fighting license when I bit Evander.
Yeah.
And they came and listen. I didn't have these guys had just wiped me out financially. I had to pay the $3 million, and then I had these people called me, and I just made a bunch of money. These people were very generous, and that really helped me at that really crucial time of my life.
Was there ever any talk for you to actually wrestle?
I did wrestle. You never saw me wrestle? You better look at WWE, man.
What do you mean? I saw you like punch Shawn Michaels, but you didn't do an actual match.
No, you go and say Mike Tyson tag team wrestling on WWE.
Okay.
Go check that out.
All right. What about singles match?
No, it wasn't singles. It was a tag team.
Who was your tag team partner?
Man, just look at the show. Mike Tyson tag. I forgot.
Okay.
I don't know. It was Coco Beware. One of those guys, some guys. And I'm watching. I'm giving guys the hip lift and everything. I'm slamming guys. This is awesome. Check it out.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Do we have a few more minutes with you, Mike, or do you have to run?
Go ahead.
Okay. And so when I saw Tyson there, it reminded me of you. Of course, Tyson named after you. He was on your podcast recently, right?
Absolutely.
What an honor, right, to have a guy named after you who's doing so well as a heavyweight champion.
Hey, listen. That blows my mind. Know why that blows my mind?
Why?
Because when I was a little kid, and Cush used to say, if you listen to me, people name their kids after you. People name, stores after you. People name stuff. And he told me that. And look what happened.
It's incredible. Did you know that before you met him?
No, I had no idea.
Right. And so do you feel
I
like...
I thought he was some European guy named Tyson. That's a European name, so I thought that was... that's why he was named Tyson. I had no idea.
It's incredible. And fans can listen to the podcast. It's wherever you get your podcast these days. Mike's working with PFL. PFL is having their first playoff show this Friday on ESPN Plus and ESPN2.
Yes, PFL. I'm with PFL. We're going to take over the world. We're going to have a ball, and it's going to be on and popping.
By the way, Mike, I want to ask you, I was on the Dan Le Batard show recently, and they asked me, in his prime, who would have won in a no-holds-barred fight, Mike Tyson or Bruce Lee? I picked you. Was I right?
Thank you very much.
Was I right or was I wrong?
Hey, I like to think you were right, too. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. If Bruce Lee really could beat me in a fight, I would really say, fuck, this is an interesting world. Because that should not happen.
Well, it's anything goes. So he could kick, he could knee, he could do a bunch of stuff. You could just punch.
Listen. Can I tell you something?
Yes.
All right. So, oh fuck. So that's almost like me and Floyd having a street fight.
What do you mean?
He's the same size as Floyd. No, he's 135 pounds.
Right.
So so that's like, what's the guy Davis name? Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, Tank.
That's me and Tank fighting.
Okay, size difference.
Oh, you tell me no, me and Tank fighting. And Tank got the greatest skills in the world. I'm watching out, and he's fighting me. Me and Tank.
Obviously, you would win if it's a boxing match, but I thought maybe...
No.
Oh.
It's an all-out fight. Me and Tank is fighting.
Oh, you.
Bruce Lee's the same size as Tank.
I pick you over any of those guys. That's why I picked you over Bruce Lee.
All right, but I'm not saying disrespectful or egotistically. I'm
No.
saying this is me and Tank. This is the size difference. Me and Tank fighting, and Tank is the greatest martial artist in the world. And, that's what I'm saying. That's just all I'm saying.
You and Evander, are you on good terms? I know he was on your show recently.
I love Evander. Yeah, he was pretty awesome.
You guys buried the hatchet?
Yes, thank God I did. Yeah, I did.
When did that happen initially? Was it on the show, or did you have any conversations before?
No, that happened a long time ago. We did that on Oprah Winfrey or something, man.
Yeah, but do you feel like it was reciprocal on his end?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, heck. All right.
You got to go.
Dude. Thank you.
Yes, Mike, all the best to you. Keep it up, my man. And I hope
love you, brother. Nice seeing you.
I hope that you have
success going.
Yes, okay. I wish you the best with PFL and all the endeavors that you're working on these days.
Thank you, brother.
All right, there he is. Iron Mike Tyson. I used to play Punch-Out all the time as a kid. And now here I am talking to Iron Mike. Pretty crazy stuff. All right, well, there you have it. PFL this Friday, not Thursday, Friday, October 11th. And very interesting stuff about the nerves and anxiety and the old Mike versus the new Mike and diminishing that old Mike and going back to, trying to be a positive influence and advice for Conor McGregor. I appreciate him stopping by and appreciate PFL for helping us set that up. So Mike is going to be working with them. And there you see the lineup for this Friday's show. And also of note, I mentioned Kayla, I mentioned Sarah Kaufman, I mentioned Sadabu, I mentioned Ray Cooper, John Howard, but Brendan Loughnane also competing on this card. He is making his debut for PFL on this card as well. All right, let's keep it with the weird. Can we keep it with the weird, Corporate Jake, here for a second? Let me break some news. Can we do that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were sleeping back there. All right, so I have a bit of breaking news here for all of you. You know about Tito Ortiz signing with Combate Americas. You know that he was hoping, and there were some talks of him fighting Alberto El Patron, a.k.a. Alberto Del Rio, a.k.a. Jose Alberto Rodriguez. And I can officially announce right here on the program that the fight is signed. The fight is a done deal, and it is happening December 7th at the Payne Arena in Hidalgo, Texas. It will air live on pay-per-view. $39.99 is the price tag as of right this moment. And tickets go on sale Friday, October 11th. Right now, there aren't any other fights signed for the card, but I'm told that Combate is going to have their first ever female strawweight title fight on the card as well. And there's an interesting, what do you want to call it, stipulation where apparently Alberto El Patron, a.k.a. Alberto Del Rio, the former WWE heavyweight champion, is putting up his WWE belt, putting it on the line, and going on the opposite direction is Tito Ortiz putting up his UFC title. Of course, both of them aren't current champions, but basically the winner takes possession, quote unquote, of the belt. So if El Patron wins, he takes possession of the UFC title. And if Tito Ortiz wins, he takes possession of the WWE title. Interesting, right? They're going to be meeting at a catch weight of 210 pounds. And, back in the day, I used to watch Saturday Night's Main Event, and they would have these promos of the guys before the fight. Well, or the matches that evening, this fight has a bit of a pro wrestling feel, and that's been a story all week long, the mix of pro wrestling and mixed martial arts, Jack Swagger, Jake Hager, Cain Velasquez, etc. I do believe we have a couple promos here from both El Patron and Tito Ortiz. Take it away, gentlemen.
Amigos, I have been training for my big return inside La Jaula for a year and a half. It was Combate Americas and what they do, what we do with the athletes, what motivate me to take this one last fight inside La Jaula, inside the cage. Tito Ortiz, last time you and I were face to face, you said to me, "This is not the WWE, Alberto." Come on, Tito, seriously? I know you're not too smart, but I know you know. Everybody knows the difference between one and the other. I have been an athlete my entire life. I have been a fighter my entire life. I was part of the Mexican Greco-Roman wrestling national team for many years, 12 years, 13 years. I was competing in Japan, fighting for pride, for deep, while you were doing your career fighting, competing here in the States for the UFC. Back in the day, I was being trained by the legendary Marco Ruas, and now, for this training camp, I'm training with the best. Javier Torres and many others.
Alberto's been training really hard for this fight. His weight is amazing. He's like 218, he's strong. He's training with the best. Ryan Bader, CB Holloway, everybody from MMA Lab, Jared Cannonier, everybody. We're getting it ready to kick Tito Ortiz trasero.
They're giving me their time, their energy. They're passing their knowledge to me because they want me to kick your ass, Tito. I'm not gonna let my people down. I'm not gonna let my family down, and I'm not gonna let myself down. So Tito, take care. I'll be seeing you around.
Tito Ortiz here. Alberto Del Rio, you called me out. I'll give you respect for that. I watched all your fights on tapes. I give you some more respect for that. But I think you bit off a little more than you can chew. I put in a camp like no other for this fight. I've already done 10 weeks. I got 8 more weeks to go. I'm training to kill. I'm gonna whoop your ass. I'm gonna take your name. On December 7th, in Hidalgo, Texas, I hope you're ready for war, because I'm willing to die for it. This fight means the world to me. That's why I'm preparing the way I'm preparing. So once again, Alberto Del Rio, you better be ready, because I'm smashing you.
So there you have it. How about that? Thanks for the heads up there, CJ.
You're welcome.
So there you go. December 7th, Hidalgo, Texas, Payne Arena. Tito Ortiz against Alberto El Patron. Alberto Del Rio, by the way, is owned. That moniker is owned by World Wrestling Entertainment, and I believe on the lucha scene, he goes as El Patron. So there you have it. Thank you very much. December 7th, $39.99. We'll see what kind of numbers they draw with that pay-per-view, and more fights are going to be added later on. But interesting spot for the pay-per-view, Hidalgo, Texas, right on the Mexican-American border. So I know that's going to be a big story going into that fight. We'll see what kind of numbers they draw. All right. So that's the story there. That was a lot of fun. Now let's turn our attention to another big card this weekend. One Championship enjoying their 100th event. It's called 1 Century. Like I said, they're having 2 cards back to back, one of which is airing live on TNT, but it's pretty much every single known fighter on the One Championship roster. 22 fights in total, I'm told. And the only one who's not there is Eddie Alvarez. Unfortunately, he suffered that ankle injury that was bothering him going to the semifinals of the lightweight tournament. But DJ's there, and Og Lang Sang, and Angela Lee, and Christian Lee, and Yushin Okami, and a whole host of names. So with that in mind, I thought it would be fun to talk to Miesha Tate, the vice president of One Championship, formerly UFC Bantamweight champion, recently retired, took that job with One Championship around a year or so ago, moved to Singapore, has been doing a lot of work for them, trying to grow the brand, trying to grow the sport in Asia. We spoke to her earlier today about working with One in this big event coming up this weekend. All right, now let's turn our attention to another big event happening this weekend. There are a ton of huge cards, but perhaps the biggest of them all is the One Championship Century event, their 100th show this Saturday. It is so big that they actually have like 2 cards. There's like 22, I think, fights now officially on both cards combined. And how great is this? We're being joined right now by One's vice president, the great Miesha Tate, former UFC women's bantamweight champion, who of course works for One, has been doing so over the past year or so, kind enough to join us from Japan. Here's the big question, Miesha, off the top, because I know it's kind of late there or early morning. Did you stay up or did you wake up early to do this?
Oh, I stayed up, but I had a nap today.
Okay.
So I planned ahead.
Good. Well, thank you so much. It's been a while since we last talked. I appreciate you doing this, especially so late over there. You're now living in Singapore, correct?
That's correct.
What's it like? How do you like living there as opposed to back home in the U.S., Las Vegas, Washington, etc.?
Well, like, it's definitely a change, right? I mean, I think anytime you move halfway across the world, you're going to be looking for a big change. But, you know, it's been nice. I've been there about 6 months now, so it's starting to feel like home, and I feel a bit settled, and I've adjusted well, family's adjusted well, and really no massive complaints. It's pretty nice over there. It's a beautiful place. I don't know if you've ever been, but if you haven't, it's a wonderful place.
I've never been. I heard it's very clean, very nice. I'm wondering why you had to move there. Why was that a part of the gig?
You know, I wanted to move, to be honest.
Oh.
I've always wanted to live outside of the U.S., and I figured, you know, everybody tells you after you have children that everything changes and nothing's about you anymore. But, you know, part of my goal as a mom is to be a strong role model for my daughter, and for her to realize that just because you become a mom doesn't mean that your life stops, right? So I try to bring her along to as many things as I can, and you know, going to Singapore, right? In a couple more months, she will have been in Singapore longer than in the States.
Wow. Did they reach out to you initially, or did you reach out to them? How did this partnership, because of course you never fought for One. How did this actually happen?
So actually, when I was still competing for the UFC, I went over to do some promotion for the UFC, and I ended up hosting a seminar there. Chatri opened his doors to the gym, and we had a nice dinner and a great conversation. And I just feel like we really connected. He has a similar mindset to me when it comes to martial arts and, you know, values and things like that. So I always just kind of kept that as a deep-rooted connection, right? In the back of my mind, there's always kind of like, you know, I could see myself living here. I could see myself being a part of this. And some years down the road, after I retired from the UFC, I felt like I was meant to be doing something bigger. And I reached out to Chatri, and I just said, I think that I'd like to work for One if there's an opening. And he said, we'd absolutely love to have you, and gave me the opportunity to be the vice president of One Championship. And it's been quite a crazy journey, but I'm loving it. I'm traveling all over Asia, all over the world, and it's been a fantastic experience.
So specifically, what does the job entail?
You know, there's so many different things. I still feel like my role is being defined even as we move, but I feel like a brand ambassador is a great starting point for people to understand what I do, right? Because we really want to raise awareness of like how we're different than other martial arts organizations. And I do keynote speeches now, which is something that's really fun for me, and a lot of charity work as well, as One Championship's involved in a lot of charities throughout Asia. So for me, those are all great things that I'm very happy to be involved in.
Was this something that you reached out to the UFC about to see if there was an opening there, or did you always think that it was the best fit for you to work with One?
Well, I tried out for the commentary gig, and I didn't get it. And then, you know, Fox went to ESPN. That was a little bit after I think I started to make the transition, but you kind of knew that at least I just felt like there was no exact job security, right? It wasn't that I wasn't doing anything with the UFC. It's just that there was never any guarantees. And yeah, I mean, I guess I just felt like the doors were kind of closing on me slowly when it came to my working relationship with the UFC, where the doors were opening in Asia with One Championship.
And so do you view, like in your position and the way you're trying to open the doors over there, do you view the UFC as competition, or do you feel like One and the UFC are completely different entities? Of course, at the end of the day, it's all mixed martial arts, but I've heard Chatri talk about the ideology and the difference between what you guys are doing and what they're doing in the West. Do you share that sentiment? Do you feel like there's a totally different market out there that you guys are cornering as opposed to what the American fans are looking for out of their MMA promotion?
Well, I think it's a mixture, to be honest. I think that there is some of the fan base that loves the way that MMA is marketed in the West, and then there's some that has been lost in it, you know, that's just a bit over it. You know, the overselling of the rivalries and things like that. And that's not really our MO. You know, we're much more of a value-based organization based on honor, courage, integrity, and just the things that I think when you just enjoy martial arts as a sport and you just like watching good fights, that's what we're about, not overselling certain things, right? So, but I think there's plenty of room in the sea for many ships. You know, I think that there's lots of room for the UFC to do their thing and for One Championship to do their thing. It doesn't have to just be one top organization. I think there should be many. I think it's better for the athletes. I think it's better for the fighters to have more options. I mean, look, you know, we've had Ben Askren crossover. We have DJ now with One Championship. We have Eddie Alvarez. We have Sage Northcutt. You know, I'm working with One Championship. And I just think it doesn't have to be a direct competition, right? It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's just we are all celebrating martial arts, and I think there's room for both.
At any point, has Chatri Sitjotong, the founder and CEO of One, has he ever come up to you and said, are you interested in getting back in there? Are you getting that itch? Has he ever had that conversation with you?
No, actually, you know, he's like, I think that you called it at exactly the right time. And, you know, he's very much about, you know, when it's your time, and when it's not, it's not. And there's never, you know, any kind of pressure or anything like that. You know, but I could say the same thing for Dana. You know, he's never questioned my decision to retire. He's never asked me to come back. He's never asked me to do anything. You know, it's just kind of like I knew if the desire was there, it was an option, but it's never something that has ever been questioned or you know, asked about in any way, because I think they know, like I'm a strong woman, like I know what I want, and if I want to go for it, I'll go for it.
Yeah. Have you ever had that itch? Have you ever considered it at this point since walking away?
You know, not fighting, but I've considered grappling.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd like to grapple on some bigger platforms, you know, but I haven't really given too much thought. You know, I've just had so many injuries, and I was doing martial arts for so long that I feel now that I'm a mom and everything like that, you know, I'm content, right? So I feel good where I'm at. I don't feel like I'm missing anything, you know, like fighting was fun and it was great. And I look at it with the most fond, nostalgic feelings when I still watch MMA. I still feel, you know, I still get invigorated. I still light up, but I've been there, done that, right? I feel like there's more to life than just being a fighter for me. And I'm really content to just kind of conquer the world in an entirely different sense.
this card this weekend, which by the way is airing live on TNT at 11 p.m. Eastern time, the first part of the card. So immediately after the UFC event on ESPN Plus, you can turn over to TNT, which is a big deal because typically it's either online or tape delay. And then this time it's actually airing on television for free and live at 11 p.m. Eastern. So that's a really big deal. As far as the two cards are concerned, the 100th event, it's pretty much every single like known fighter on the one championship roster competing. The exception, of course, is Eddie Alvarez, who unfortunately got injured. He was supposed to be on the card, but he's now out. Is there a fighter or two right now at one that you're really excited about that you think, you know, they have Angela Lee, they have DJ, of course, Christian Lee, her brother, Oglang Song, who's a sort of a homegrown talent. Who are some of the names that you're excited about that fans maybe in America may not know and should be looking out for?
Well, you know, I have to give a shout out to the ladies, and I mean, really deservedly so. This is not just because I'm biased as a woman, which I am a little bit. I'll admit, like, I love a good female fight, but I'm telling you right now, Angela Lee versus Zhang Jingnan. Zhang Jingnan is the first Chinese world champion, and she is just a beast in her own right. I personally love rematches, but I especially love them when there's something a little bit different. And now Angela Lee was undefeated at atomweight, and she moved up to challenge Zhang Jingnan up a weight class for her belt, and she lost in the latter rounds. But I mean, it was neck and neck. It was a super great fight. And now Zhang Jingnan is moving down a weight class to challenge Angela Lee in the weight class that she's actually undefeated in. And I think the first one was a barn burner, and I have no doubt that the second one is going to be absolutely fantastic. So very much looking forward to that. And
these fights will happen in the ring, correct?
That's correct.
What do you like better? Did you ever compete in a ring or always in a cage?
I did. So it's hard, I think, for MMA athletes because it definitely changes things, but you kind of just have to be aware of that going into it. You know, I remember particularly when I had a hook and shoot tournament, right? So I fought more than one fight in a night, and I remember my second fight trying to get a takedown, and I grabbed through the ropes. So my arms were around her legs and my hands were locked, but the rope was in there also. So I kind of had to like let go to try to get that. And there's just things that make it more difficult. But for the kickboxing and Muay Thai aspect of it, it's great. And I think also for the traditional aesthetics of martial arts throughout Asia, you know, that's another thing that is considered here. It's kind of just trying to revive that, right? I think Muay Thai has always been underrated, and I think kickboxing has been underrated. You know, we have the finals of the $1 million US Grand Prix going on in part 2 of our event also. So, you know, kickboxing and the striking part of martial arts is something that's heavily celebrated in one championship. And what I think is great is that a lot of times that happens with 4-ounce gloves on. So it's like the best part, or what most people I think love about mixed martial arts, is the striking aspect. So basically take the world's best strikers, put MMA gloves on them, and let them go at a striking only battle. And it's highly entertaining.
In addition to all of this, you're still doing your radio show for SiriusXM, correct? Fight Nation?
Yes.
And
yes, that's correct.
One thing that I really respect about you, I must say, I mean, you're doing your thing, you've branched out, you're showing that there's life after fighting. You are not afraid to weigh in on topics that may be viewed as controversial. And you do get some heat for this. Like even the fighters themselves, I've seen John Jones react to things that you've said. And, you know, things get clipped up and maybe sometimes taken out of context. You've talked about the BMF title, which, by the way, I agree with a lot of the things that you've said about the BMF belt, so to speak. Do you ever feel like you have to bite your tongue because of your role with one? Or are you just going out there and enjoying being able to say whatever you want without any repercussion?
You know, I really feel like I can be honest. I've always tried to be honest before, but right, I mean, it's one of those things now where I just feel like I have the liberty to be entirely open about my opinions, and I don't really have to like hold back and kind of be the company woman, so to speak. So when it comes to things like that, like the BMF belt, yeah, I think it's weird. I think I've gone on the record and said I think that it's weird, and in a sense, I think that it maybe devalues what a belt really means. And I think that's true. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I guess if people hate the fact that I have an opinion, I'm sorry, but that's really my opinion. It's not meant to, trash the UFC or anything like that, but it's one of those things that that's the honest truth, right? And I have the liberty to be entirely honest about that, and I'm going to be. And I think people have always respected the fact that I've been pretty transparent and pretty honest throughout my career. But you're right, it does get me heat, and I still get the questions about Ronda, and I don't shy away from them. I just answer it honestly, but it's not something that I try to bring up as a regular topic. It's not like I'm trying to talk about Ronda, but people ask about it. Like, I think because of Ben Askren, right, when he lost that bout, that fight, how he handled his loss, and he brought up Ronda. So then, of course, I get asked about, what I think the comparison is, and then people hate on me because they say, why are you still talking about Ronda? I hate it. But hey, I'm always going to be this consistent person, and that's just the way that it's going to be. So I guess people can hate away.
I won't ask you about Ronda, but I do want to ask you about Gina Carano. I don't know if you know this, but she has a new Disney Plus series, a Star Wars series coming out next month. And she's the one person I've never had on the show. She has eluded me for years and years. I don't know why. I don't know what's the issue there, but she won't come on the show. I don't know. I thought we were cool. But I wanted to know if what she has done post-fighting has been an inspiration to you. And if when you were coming up, I know, you fought on the Strikeforce cards back in the day as well, but was she one of those people early on that you looked at as like, wow, she's opening doors and she's doing things not only in MMA, but post-MMA as well, and that's someone that I want to emulate?
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. She has been someone who has been a big inspiration to me. I think she had a bit of a hard go of it in the MMA realm, and I think she left the sport a little bit bitter because of what happened with Cyborg. And I think, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think that she wasn't happy with that. Like I said, I'm not going to put words in her mouth. I don't want to say how she felt about that loss, but I think it was something she just really wasn't happy with. But I think since then she's done great things with her career, and she's absolutely been an inspiration for me. I remember the first time that I met her, she was so nice to me. She was just super sweet. She wasn't a jealous type person. She was very happy to have more females in the sport, and that's kind of how what I emulate myself after, like, seeing how Gina is so great about it and how she really wanted the sport to continue on. And yeah, she was just wonderful. She was super nice to me.
And by the way, I have to ask, you talked about being a mom now and loving motherhood. I don't know if you know this, but on the UFC card, Mackenzie Dern, who gave birth 4 months ago, is fighting on this card. 4 months after giving birth, which, based on our sort of unofficial research, that's the quickest turnaround from giving birth to actually fighting on any major MMA card. Are you shocked that she's doing this? You've experienced it. Isn't that it's an amazing thing that she's coming back so soon? I didn't expect it, but I don't know what goes into all that.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazed, to be honest. I hope that it's not too soon for her sake. I feel like it took longer than that for me to feel like I was back to 100%. I mean, there's just so many changes that happen to your body to become a mom, and I'm really impressed that she is that ambitious to get back in there. But you know what? Props to her. She knows her body. She knows her limitations. I'm certainly not going to be one to put a glass ceiling on the woman. I will, I'll cheer her on as a mom that's going out there and trying to conquer her dreams.
I wish you the best out there, Miesha. So great to catch up with you. And again, I really appreciate you doing this so late at night or early in the morning over there. Again, it's 1 century. It's a 2-part card, over 20 fights. You got Muay Thai, you got Pancrase versus Shudo. You got some of the biggest names on the roster in the sport. DJ in the final, Christian Lee and Angela Lee, the brother-sister combo fighting in big fights. You've got Yushin Okami on the card, Aung Lang Sang. I mean, there's so many big names. And again, live on TNT at 11 p.m. Eastern. So immediately following the Tampa card, you can check this out. A lot of MMA action coming your way this Saturday. Thank you so much, Miesha. All the best to you. Good luck out there in Japan, and we'll talk to you soon. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you. Take care, Ariel. Anytime.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. There she is, Miesha Tate, Vice President of One Championship. Okay, so great stuff there from Miesha Tate. In a matter of seconds, we're going to be joined by the reigning defending UFC featherweight champion, Max Blessed Holloway. But before we get to Max, earlier in the program, I did this poll, one for Male Fighter of the Year. Who's Male Fighter of the Year right now, and especially if Masvidal wins on November 2nd. I also asked who's the current Coach of the Year as things stand right now. Of course, because Eugene Behrman of City Kickboxing had such a great weekend, such a great year, Captain Eric, such a great year. And because they're probably going to have to face off against each other, which is a lot of fun as well, because it's Costa, Eric's guy, Eric Albarracin, going up against Behrman's guy, Israel Adesanya. And this has upset a lot of people from Fortis MMA. Saif Saud, who, by the way, last year I mentioned as one of my up-and-comer coaches, if you will. And this has upset them. And I'm getting text messages, and how dare you forget. And so I asked the great Andrew Davis of the ESPN Stats and Information Group to compile the record of Fortis MMA right now, as things stand right now, as far as UFC and Bellator fights are concerned in 2019. And if you recall, Captain Eric, 7-1, double champ Henry Cejudo, double champ Pitbull, right? Eugene Behrman, champion Israel Adesanya, 10-0 UFC Bellator potential champion in Alex Volkanovski. As of right now, Fortis MMA, 14-3 in UFC and Bellator. No champions, no title fights. Not trying to take anything away. Phenomenal year. Great year, one of the true up-and-coming gyms. They win more than they lose, but right now it's 14-3 and no title fights, no title victories. Those have to mean something, right? So I'm not trying to, and by the way, this is not my final vote. I was just talking about these two guys who are going to face off against each other. Just calm down. Calm down, all right? Let the work speak for itself. Don't come at me like that. So we got the numbers right here. 10-0, 7-1, 14-3. Just slow your rolls, okay? Anyway. Let's turn our attention now to the blessed one. Max Holloway was kind enough to join us on the phone. There was a time when he wasn't so famous, where he would come on the show all the time from his famous, little room with the Paw Patrol. Now he's a really big deal, so we have to settle for a phoner with Max Holloway. Max, are you there?
I'm here. There was a time when I was FaceTime, but there was also a time when everyone put me on the Fighter of the Year every year. So.
Oh. Damn. Listen, I'm just saying, as things stand right now, things could change. I mean, it's been a great year for a lot of people. I'm not trying to make any enemies, but it's good to talk to you nonetheless. I'm not trying to be a hater. I know you got a lot going on in your life these days, Max. We haven't talked since the Frankie Edgar fight, and I'm wondering, there was that big push afterwards to try to get you on the card this past weekend in Australia. How close were you to actually accepting that? Was that a real thing?
The UFC didn't really come to me. They really didn't ask me about the fight at all. They're the ones that actually told me when we heard. The only thing we heard from the UFC side was like, no, just take the time you need. Go to the doctors, go and check everything you want to go check, and hit us back. So on our side, it wasn't really that serious. I didn't hear too much news from it.
Were you even interested in that, or were you okay with waiting a little longer?
Of course. I know how it is. I want to fight home. I didn't want to take that away from that guy. From Alex, I know how bad he wanted to fight home, because I know how bad I want one here in Hawaii. And, but we did. We sat down with the team, went to the doctor, we did all our meetings, and, time just didn't line up. And, we got to wait. We got to be on the Vegas card, UFC 245. And I'm super excited. To be here. I finally get to fight in Vegas in forever. And, it's the 9th island. So, right now I'm looking at this as the UFC Hawaii for us, and we're approaching it that way. We got deals coming very soon for all my Hawaiians. Keep following me, All the Hawaii guys that's flying out, we're going to make it special for them. This is going to be UFC Hawaii, and it's going to be a big deal.
Now, what do you mean by deals? Like opportunities for them to travel from Hawaii to come watch you fight in Las Vegas?
Opportunities, man. We're trying to push opportunities of maybe that. Maybe we're trying to work with a bunch of things behind the scenes, and hopefully we can do a couple meet and greets too for all the Hawaiians, make it feel like home. I'm really trying to make this thing feel like UFC Hawaii. This is the 9th island, and that's what we're trying to push. If we can't get the UFC Hawaii in Hawaii, the next best thing is the 9th island. That's Las Vegas. So I'm glad that we have the opportunity to have this, and all my Hawaiians, just make sure you stay on the lookout for what we do. We got some announcements coming soon, so we'll announce them.
Recently, you actually posted something on your Instagram, and for a while, like the Hawaii thing was kind of, there and sort of accepted that it wasn't going to happen anytime soon for the UFC. But you posted a very long thing on your Instagram recently about, we can make these deals with Abu Dhabi. Why can't we make a deal with Hawaii and the tourism board over there? What prompted you to do that?
Whose dream is not to fight home? If you look at it, Dana White is actually going to be in Hawaii this week, I believe. There's looking for a fight this Saturday. So we see what happens. You know, the HTA, the government, the agency, you know, the Hawaiian Tourism Authority, their job is to support tourism and spread our culture. So I hope they think about martial arts more, you know. Everyone knows Hawaii has a rich history for martial arts. But when we're not investing any money to show that right now, you know, it just says one thing. You know, I've been saying UFC Hawaii. I've been the one guy yelling about UFC Hawaii, but it's not about me. You know, if you look at it from a business point, I make more money. I make way more money and way more stuff fighting in Vegas. You know, there's no taxes and et cetera behind the scenes. So UFC Hawaii for me would be nice for me because you know, Stylebender fought this past weekend. He talked about how he was sitting in the nosebleeds. Now he's main stage. You know, I want to give some kid that. You know, some kid's mother that. Some martial arts here bleeds deep. You know, I want to be that person that inspires that next generation. If we're not here inspiring the next generation, then what are we here for? That's why I want to come home. You know, you know how many opportunities going to show the kids, the moms that wake up 4 or 5 o'clock a.m. to get a workout at the UFC gyms or whatever. You know, the martial arts here with the kids. You know, we got the fighting history in Hawaii is super deep. We got thousands of kids that's trying to fight. You know, you ask 10 kids, 7 or 8 of them is going to probably say that they want to be a champion in fighting. You know, it's crazy here. So hopefully the HTA can figure it out and we can show people why martial arts means so much here in the islands.
So next up, as you said, it is Las Vegas, the 9th Island against Alexander Volkanovski. And not that long ago, I remember when you were asked about Volkanovski, around the time that he beat Chad Mendes, you were like, I don't really know much about this guy, you know, not really on the radar right now. Do you feel like he is the most deserving one now? Like, has he impressed you? Has he done enough to get this title shot, in your opinion?
Yeah, he did what he did. You know, he did what he did. He put himself in the right place. He's at the right place at the right time. And, you know, he did just beat the number 1 contender in Jose Aldo. He went there, fought the King of Rio in Rio, and, you know, put off that win. And, you know, all I got to say is GSP had multiple titles, and he said defending belts is the hardest, right? And I think when you're defending, you're earning already what you have. You know, like I already have this belt, so I'm just earning it, you know. And it's just harder to motivate yourself. I think we all can agree that. But you can think of former champions who have a hard time finding that motivation. So for me and my team, we find motivation somewhere where it presents new challenges to us. And Alex presents a new challenge. You know, like I said before, I love cupcakes, I love flavors, and this guy's just a new flavor. You know, the dude I'm taller than the dude, but the dude got longer reach. You know, he has more power than me. You know, and you know, and his pressure and stuff is another thing that I'm excited about. So we never faced a guy like Alex, and we never faced a guy with this kind of power, and I'm excited to stand against the octagon for him come December 14. I can't wait. You know, I can't wait for the challenge. These are the things. You want to be the number 1 pound-for-pound guy in the world. This is the kind of guys you got to go through. This is what everybody's talking about. It's time to show the world again in December why, you know, to be the best, you got to beat the best, Ariel. And the best is?
Blessed.
Yes, sir.
But your last opponents, Frankie Edgar, Dustin Poirier, Brian Ortega, Aldo Twice, Anthony Pettis, like these are names, right? Volkanovski doesn't have that name quite yet. Is that what you're talking about, the motivation? Like when you look at his name on paper, that doesn't get you out of the bed? You have to think of other things? You have to get other things to get you motivated?
No, he gets me out of bed. He motivates me, like what I just said. The dude, I'm taller than the dude. He got some orangutan arms. You know, his reach is longer than mine. The strength stuff is a factor. You know, he's KOing people, you know, like knocking them out. So he got a lot of challenges, you know, that I can't wait to face. You know, everybody keeps saying that his power is going to be too much. His wrestling, his pace might be too much for me. So there's a lot of things that me and my team sat down, we talked about, and it excites us. You know, this is the kind of challenge that excites us. So I can't wait. I can't wait to go out there and show the world, you know, why I should be the number 1 pound-for-pound guy in the world.
I don't think a lot or enough was made of the fact that you were coming off a loss going into that Frankie Edgar fight. And it's only happened once before, coincidentally, another Hawaiian, BJ Penn, only champion to come off a loss to defend his title successfully. Now that it's over, of course, we're several months removed, but this is our first time talking. I'm wondering, you said all the right things going into that fight, but in the moments leading up to it, in the hours leading up to it, in the locker room before the Edgar fight in Edmonton, was there any part of you who started to doubt yourself, who felt a little different just because you were coming off a loss as opposed to the long winning streak? Did it feel different in hindsight?
Look, I'm human. I'm human just like everybody else. And everybody like to think we're gods or we're higher or we're superheroes, but I always tell them, look, guys, I'm human. I get nervous. Every fighter gets nervous before I walk, and it's not nervous or scared of losing the fight. If a fighter tells you that they're never nervous, slap that fighter in the head. He's lying to you. We just think humans. We got emotions, and I get nervous all the time before every fight, before that fight. I get nervous when there's one point in my career where I wouldn't wash my I have a jock strap and then I have a tights that hold my cup in place, and I wouldn't wash those because I didn't want to wash the wins away. That's just me though. But my mom washed it one day, and I was like freaking out before my fight. I was like, Mom, you're not supposed to wash this. What are you doing? What that sort of argument. But it is what it is. It was there, but that's what pushes you to a point of greatness. Some guys they get pushed to that point and they break. And some guys get pushed to that point and they break through. And they break records. So, I'm one of those guys that I believe when you push me to that point, I'm going to break records. Every time you put me in big fights or big moments, I'm going to show up every single time,
Did you win that fight after she watched it?
Yeah, I did. That was during,
thank God.
That was during the streak, so it was super good. I think it was right before the Pettis fight it happened, so my mind was going all crazy. We got changed, and then it was right before me and Pettis got changed to the main event for the intro. So I was like, wow. I was like, really? This is what's happening right now.
But it worked out. In fact, that was almost the beginning of a whole new chapter for you. So Mama knows best. You're fighting on the same card as Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. And in fact, I believe when you were at UFC 241, you were almost like in the middle of Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington, right? Like you got a bird's eye view at like the dissolving of that friendship. Could you tell us about what you witnessed there?
Yeah, it was nothing. I saw Dana White call me out and be like, "Yeah, Max trying to start stuff." No, they're UFC people trying to start stuff. They actually, if I could move real quick, so they could put a Jorge on top of the stuff. But it was crazy, It was just bickering more from one side than the other, and they just was talking, and then things was getting serious. I guess I don't know. It was just, I don't even remember. I was there for DC. I didn't care too much of people hollering. Let them figure that out in the cage already.
Right. And what a nice thing that you wrote about DC after the fight. Why does he mean so much to you? I mean, on paper, it doesn't seem like you guys have a ton in common. You're not close to the same age. You're not from the same part of the country. But it seems like you really, truly love this man. Why is that?
Man, that guy, DC, behind the scenes, he texts, he calls me before every fight. He texts and calls me random times. He's just a man, And I usually don't like to comment on other fighters' fights. That's their moment. But when legacy is brought up, that's when I usually speak up to defend guys. After I beat Aldo, a lot of people were talking, was taking shots at his legacy, same as Frankie. So, for both of those guys, I spoke up. Same as DC. My message is about defending the man's legacy. And when we leave the sport, that's all we have. That's what we do. That's what we use to make our money off of. So I want to make sure the world know that this man, I want to make sure that they know what he really was about. It's not my place to say publicly what I think he should do or, and whatever. But I was in this guy's locker, an hour after the fight, hour and a half. We was waiting in the back, me and my manager. I was hanging out and to talk to him, I just wanted to see, man, that guy touched my life in many ways, he's a good, down-to-earth guy. He's kind of like a father figure, the daddest man on the planet, I'm still fighting for him any day, so let him know. But at the end of the day, he's a great friend, a great man, a great role model, a great thing for the sport. So, you got to give the man his respect.
Max, as you may know, back in August, I had a conversation with Conor McGregor, and it was his first interview in quite some time, and I asked him about a whole bunch of opponents potentially that he could be facing in the future. I thought, honestly, that his answer about you was the most interesting one. And in case you didn't hear it, can I play you this quick clip of his answer and then get your response?
Yeah.
All right, here's Conor talking about Max Holloway.
It's certainly a fight I'm interested in, young Holloway. I mean, you saw it's not as easy as you think to move up a division and to challenge for the second world title. You saw that with young Max. I thought him coming over and doing that was a little cheap. Although, get your money. You know, get if you're paid to come over and do this by a brand that's afraid of me and afraid of what I'm doing with my, you know what I mean. That's okay, but. Whatever, it is what it is. This is another moment where I'm almost reacting to the bait. I'm like, hold on, I need to just, you know what I mean? I need to accept things the way they are, and that's it. But the Holloway bout is certainly a bout I'm interested in. I have a lot of respect for Max.
So young Max, it's not so easy moving up, getting paid by a brand to come over. I thought there were a lot of subtle jabs there. What did you make of that response?
Yeah, he also dropped it. It is what it is, you know. Actually, no, in all seriousness, when did Conor beat Aldo? December 2015. And when did he beat Eddie? November 2016. And, for those 12 months, he ruled the world, Ariel, the world. Not just UFC, the world, Ariel. And the one thing I can remember and take away from that time was his focus. He was so focused. He decided what he wanted. And what he said stuff. He pointed to the sky. He reached for the stars. He reached for the moon, and he made it happen. It was magical, and and that's what drew in the world for him. And after listening to that, even listening to it right now, I don't see that same focus. If you are going after everything, you're not focused on anything. He called out like 20 guys in that interview. Am I interested in a payday fight to fight him? Sure, Ariel. But I'm really not interested in competing with him if he's not at his best. And he doesn't seem healthy. He didn't sound right. If he comes back and he said, "Hey, I beat Max when he was a kid, but I want to beat him. I want to beat him in his prime to prove that I'm the best ever," then yeah, I want the champ. I want that champ. I want that 2015 to 2016 champ mentality and that focusedness. And right now, it's just not interesting to me, I think so. Even for his fans, I think his fans just want to focus, and he's pointing to the sky again, and that's when I want to fight him. I want to fight the best Conor McGregor, so he can go figure things out, and he can let us know.
So that's really interesting because even with you, like I remember he tweeted something the day of your fight or the night of your fight saying like, "Oh, is this man okay? Is he coming back too soon?" It seems like he's always kind of talking about your well-being and moving up and the weight and all that stuff. Do you notice that from him, and why do you think he does that? Even always posting that picture, from the time that you guys fought back in Boston all those years ago. He always references that picture with the sunglasses. Why do you think he does that continuously?
He's a human. He's just like any of us, and he was at cage side when that unfortunate event happened in an MMA fight. He was there live and he saw that happen. And, we all have hearts. At the end of the day, this is business. Business is business. But at the end of the day, we're still all humans. And I believe that he really, truly cares about other people and other this and that and people who he shared the octagon with. So, he's just a human being. He got some bad stuff that happened that he did or whatever, this and that. But we're all humans. We all make mistakes. And it's not how you start the race, it's how you finish. So I think the guy's just, he's just concerned about not only me, but all the other fighters, like being there live for what happened, I think so it was in Dublin. That must be like changing of hearts for a lot of stuff. So it must have been just crazy for him.
Do you learn any lessons from what's happened to him? Because you've become a lot more famous, a lot more popular, especially back home, about not letting it, maybe get you or allowing other people get to you, taking the bait as he likes to put it. Like, have you learned perhaps about, and this is not a Conor specific thing. We know that this happens to fighters all the time. Do you try to stop yourself from going down bad roads because of your fame and wealth and all that?
Yeah, 100%. For sure. That's what we got to do. We got to watch. We got to remember. People got to remember, too, we're humans. People put us on pedestals, and then they attack us and they say stuff. But, we're humans, and we're a little bit different. We're looked at in the limelight a little bit different. So you know, it is a learning process, you know, and when you watch stuff like that, so, you know, I hope he figures out. He is, you know, he's been figuring out, you know, and he never runs away, you know, what he does is wrong, and, you know, that's a true man. At least he owns up to him, and you know, you go from there. So I learned a lot from him, not only him, other fighters, you know, you watch and see, even other athletes, you know, from other sports, professional sports. So it's super cool to see, you know. I don't want to go down that way. You know, I know where I want to go with my career, and that's what we're doing.
And one last thing for you, Max, because I was reminded of this past weekend when Megan Anderson was talking about dealing with anxiety and depression, trying to get her career back on track. You were one of the first fighters to talk openly about this, and I'm just wondering how you're doing with that now. How are you handling it? Do you find that it's still a constant battle, or do you feel like you've conquered that part of your life?
I'm good. You know, I'm good. I think. I'm just like anybody else, you know. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad. And I was like super bad, you know. That little run I had, and you know, I'm fine. I'm good, but you know, it's just crazy. It's a real thing, you know. It's a real thing, you know. Go talk to people about it. Go ask the people about it. That's the only way you get rid of it. You know, people who try to bottle it in and they hold it in too long, and then it's gonna burst. You know, it's like shaking a soda. When you open it, it's gonna come out flying and bursting after shaking it. So. You know, if you're getting affected with that, you know, reach out to somebody, talk to people, and people can help you. You know, that's this world. You know, that's what it is. You know, a lot of people, I tell them all the time. A lot of people, they always tell me like, no, fighting is just you. I want to do that because it's all on you. It's not. This is a team sport. And mixed martial arts is a team sport. I need my coaches. I need my training partners to show up when I need them. I need my training partners to train with me and do certain things for me. It's a team sport. I go in there alone. But I win for the army, you know. I win for everybody. The army that's behind me, my team that's behind me. This is a team sport, guys. Don't get it twisted. Don't think so. You got to hold everything and take everything and put the weight of the world on you. Talk to people you love. Find out people who really care for you and talk to them. That's what you got to do. You're not in this battle alone.
We are so lucky to have you, Max Holloway, in this sport. It's truly amazing to see the evolution of your character and how you've matured into the fighter and the role model and the ambassador that you've become. I mean, you continuously do the right thing, say the right thing on social media and interviews. It's really a joy. And I remember watching you and Frankie fight and the way you conducted yourself that week in Edmonton, just days after those two boxers passed away. And I felt a little weird about combat sports, to be honest. And you guys put a positive spin on everything. You're just such great people. And it's just great to talk to you again. You know, despite the fact that you don't come on Skype anymore, and you got to go through like 8 people to get to you these days. You're a real big shot. But you know, you're still the same old man. Max, and we still love you nonetheless.
You're the man, Ariel. I promise the next time I get on Skype. I'm sorry. I'm in the process of moving stuff around and stuff, so I couldn't set up the Skype right now. It was giving me a hard time on my mic and stuff. So
it's all good. I
apologize, but next time I promise. You know, don't be throwing me under like that. Next time, you know, how about we make a deal? The next time I see you, or in December when I see you, if I got more fire on my feet than you, then I won't do it. But then if you got more fire on your feet, then I'll do it.
Deal. Listen, Max, when I die, they're putting my money in the grave.
Oh, that's what I like to hear. That's what it should happen.
All right? Represent. Don't forget about the 10th island also, all right? Don't forget. I know you're all about the 9th and 8th, but come on. Max, you're the man. Thank you so much, and good luck December 14th. We'll see you out there.
Thank you, Ariel. Hello. Have a good one.
All right. Mahalo to Max Holloway, the man at 145. He returns to action on December 14th against Alexander Volkanovski. 3 title fights on that card. Jermaine Durandamy, Amanda Nunes, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, and of course, Max Holloway, Volkanovski, Usman Covington is the main event. All right. So let's go back to the World Pro Wrestling / MMA. This past week, over at AEW, All Elite Wrestling. Did you hear my interview with Chris Jericho? It was so much fun on Thursday. But on Wednesday, on their debut show on TNT, our guy, Jake Hager, a.k.a. Jack Swagger, formerly of WWE, now of Bellator, made his debut. He went in there like a bull and just cleaned up the place. Look at that. Amazing. I was like, oh, man, there's our guy, Jake Hager, on AEW. How are you, Jake?
I'm great. How do I look?
You look phenomenal. Oh, my gosh. You're just killing it left and right.
Hey, I like to work. What can I say?
Do you actually, by the way, congratulations on this, but you actually first hinted at this on our show, like subtly hinted at it, and it kind of exploded, and then it quieted down. I think there were some rumors that you were going to join. But when was this? Like, when did this start to become a thing? You joining AEW? Has this been in the works for quite some time?
Yes, all my hints come on this show, so my success is tied directly to you, Ariel.
Thank you.
Please continue on.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's been an amazing process, since I left and really came out on my own and invested in myself and got to choose the people that I wanted to work with. And this was like a no-brainer. This is the best thing that could have happened. And it was all kind of teases and a little bit of fun. And then this summer, the man you just brought up, the greatest wrestler in the world, Chris Jericho, started recruiting me heavily to come to AEW. And, when Jericho comes calling, you don't say no.
So and I know Jericho has done some training with Josh Rafferty, who you've trained with as well. Did you guys keep in touch throughout all that? Like, have you actually trained with Jericho as far as MMA is concerned?
Our schedules have been pretty different.
Okay.
So we kind of have been like, he'll usually have like the 7 o'clock and then I got the 5:30 or something. We like to get our killing done before noon. But Josh has been great handling both of us, and he really like loves pro wrestling along with his extensive knowledge in MMA. And so he can really bring out the best of both worlds for us.
Now, we know that you're still a member of Bellator, and we're seeing some photos here of your debut. I love the fact that you stuck with the collared shirt. Is this a new gimmick for you, just to always wear the nice collared shirt?
Hey, I'm rich, man. I'm a prize fighter.
That's right.
I do it for the money. So,
and collared shirt represents being rich?
I just wanted to have a different look. Everybody comes out there in all black now, and I just wanted to say I'm wealthy, and that pisses you off. Well, I worked hard for it.
I like it. It's kind of like you're an honorary member of the Mean Street Posse. Do you remember those guys?
Yeah. Who am I fooling? I got the big teeth. I got the comb over. I got to wear the dad, collared shirt. It's the only thing I can pull off.
I dig it.
I swear I'm tough.
Are you going to, actually wrestle in the collared shirt and the slacks and the nice shoes and all that? Is that going to be your new look?
Yes, and we're going to stop the match if 1 inch of my shirt gets untucked. I'm going to completely lose it. You think I lost it on Wednesday. If my shirt gets untucked, I'm losing my S. Sorry.
I love it. Now, how are you going to balance Bellator and AEW? How's this going to work out?
Ooh, man, it's been incredible to really push myself to this and really find out how unique I am. Really, it's not that much different. You just move your rest days around. We had rest days usually Saturday and Sunday, sometimes just Sunday. And so now we'll rest a little bit Wednesday, and then the travel day home Thursday. And so then we go hard. We usually do a 2-day Friday, and then a nice hard conditioning Saturday, hard wrestling Sunday. We just got done sparring today, and then we got a lot of jits and a little bit of conditioning and lifting on Tuesday. So you just move it around, and my team has been great. I love what Max was saying about how this is a team sport. We're all out there together when we go in that cage. Me, Josh, Rob Rafford, Joey Best, we're all out there. Even my wife, Catalina, she's in there with me. And it's just a great thing to have such a team that can juggle the schedule and really adapt and really understand how big this is.
Okay, but you're fighting at the end of the month, so no more appearances, or are you still going to appear this Wednesday?
Now, where would the fun in that be, Ariel? Come on now. I'm a fun guy, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Are you accusing me of not being fun?
No, but I feel like you might be putting a little too much on your plate. I'm a little worried.
Well, like I said, this started in the summer, and Bellator has been great. They were very excited to work with AEW and to have me continue on fighting for them. And so we had a game plan going ahead of this. We're ahead of schedule in camp. And so we're ready to handle the schedule. And this is going to be a big test, October 25th, Mohegan Sun, the biggest fight of my career, no doubt. And that much more pressure was added last Wednesday night when I debuted for AEW. So I like to put pressure on myself. I like to challenge myself. And, you got to sleep in the bed that you make.
Has Bellator said, okay, we don't want you to do anything crazy before the fights? I mean, this is a little, we have a lot invested in you, so can you just like wrestle afterwards or take a little break before? Have they put any stipulations on this deal?
Yeah, we definitely kind of maneuvered around some stipulations that we had in the contract, but like I said, they've been great. And I think right now with where AEW's at and what we're going to do, we're going to be just fine before we go out there October 25th.
It's great to have a very savvy manager like Danny Rubenstein cutting those deals for you, right?
The best.
Yeah.
Danny Rubenstein, the best. Ladies, he's off the market too. You guys missed your chance.
Breaking news?
It's been happening all year. He's you haven't seen the little hearts in his eyes?
No, I haven't. Who's the can you break that news? Who's the lucky lady?
Oh man. I wish we were better friends, but Rube, I don't even know her name. I'm sorry. But
it's funny, he doesn't say the same about you.
We're very good friends. I'm just horrible with names.
Okay.
The only woman I can remember is Catalina Hager.
That's right. And by the way, so today for Catalina, is it Monday or Friday or what is it? I mean, there's a distinct difference in terms of the feeling between a Monday and a Friday. And there I am on Twitter on Friday. I'm a big fan of your wife. I follow her on social media, and I see it's Monday. What's up with that? It's Friday. How do you think Friday's Monday? How is that possible? Explain this to me.
Well, you know what? She went to DC with me at AEW. Her and I work a lot with so much of her online stuff together that she had to come along with me to get some stuff done. And she was there and she was feeling the magic and she was all fired up when we got home. And normally when I come home, it's the end of the week and not the weekend. I'm usually gone on the weekend. So we were a little twisted around, but that was just great. I mean, classic Ariel right there.
I just wanted her to know that it actually was the start of the weekend. So not to have a case of the Mondays, because usually, you're very helpful. None of our other followers mentioned or bothered to mention it. Yeah, and then I actually saw a follow-up tweet where she said, "Oh, someone pointed out," not even referencing me, not even giving me credit for pointing it out. If I'm being honest, I was a little offended. Here I am correcting a mistake and not getting the credit for it.
We will issue a correction. I know that's a rare thing today, but we will issue a correction.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, interesting week in the world of MMA/pro wrestling, because you debuted on Wednesday for AEW, and then Cain Velasquez on Friday. Who had the better debut, in your opinion?
Oof. Well, I mean, if you're asking me, I 100% think I had the better debut. I don't know if you heard, but there was 14,000 people chanting "We the People" for me, and I didn't even bother to raise my hand for it. You know what? I think it's cool that Cain was able to cross over. I think it's awesome. I want to see more and more people cross over. I want to see more wrestlers cross over in MMA, more MMA cross over into pro wrestling, because then our fans truly see how similar the worlds are and how great they can be when you understand what's going on. Personally, I think mine was better, though. Okay. I think it's interesting, though, that they saw me surprise debut, and then a couple days later, they had Cain come out, not even signed to a contract, kind of rush, hush, hush. So,
you think that was in reaction to your debut? That was a smashing success?
I don't even pay attention to that world. I wouldn't even know.
Well, you brought it up first. You were the one who said it was interesting.
Did I do that?
Well,
no.
Okay, fair enough.
You broke that news. You said that. I was just going along with it.
How do you think he's going to do? Because the one thing I heard from people was like, oh, the physique doesn't look, like in the world of MMA, it's okay to not have like the big, muscular physique. But in pro wrestling, especially against Brock, it's a little different. How do you think the fans are going to take to him?
He walked out with Rey Mysterio first time. That's a great start right there.
Right.
It's hard to beat that debut, and then having Brock Lesnar cower to you. That's pretty cool. The fans are very fickle, much like they are in MMA. They want to know that you're 100% involved and that you're not playing games and that this isn't a joke to you. Like, this is serious, because this is very serious to those fans watching and paying their money to it. So I think, he's a very hard worker. He always has been, even back when we used to wrestle in college. And so I don't see any reason why he can't succeed.
Okay. Wouldn't that? I mean, it's amazing how the lines continue to get blurred, right? Even Tyson Fury showing up there. You're on AEW, Kane. I mean, it just seems like everyone who hates the fact that, like I always like to say that MMA's roots are in pro wrestling, and fans get all upset about that. But I think last week really proved. I mean, look at Adesanya coming out with the dancing and all this. This is all pro wrestling, right? Everything's pro wrestling in this world. Not even in MMA, in the world. Politics.
Yep. Everybody's trying to keep up with the NBA and all their factions that they got developing this summer. It's like, okay, you got the NWO 1, NWO 2. Like, it's
That's true. The black, the red.
Yeah, LA 1, LA 2. Geez, come on now.
That's right. By the way, UFC in Tampa this weekend. Don't you live in that area?
I do.
Are you going? You going to do a run in there? Maybe you can invade that one too. A little Bellator run in.
Oh, a little Bellator invasion?
Yes. That's what I'm talking about, Jake.
Now you're piquing my interest. I'll drive the tank. You man the megaphone.
Yes, like DX showing up in Virginia. Do you remember that back in the day, or are you a casual, Jake?
Now I'm out. I'm out.
Why are you out?
No,
you got heat?
You had to go DX. It's like, come on, bro.
What? That's not cool?
Not even in high school is that cool.
DX wasn't cool in high school. I did the DX sign to my teacher, my English teacher in 10th grade. Adesanya just did it on Saturday. In what world did you live in? You were an NWO guy with the old guys?
Oh, too sweet all the way, man.
Yes, that's
too
right.
sweet.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Okay, I didn't realize you were more of a...
Red Wolfpack, man.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Conan.
Yeah.
Right? La Parka.
For me, it was Hall and Nash. The Outsiders, they were my jam. That's who really got me into it when I was like in 6th, 7th grade. And, now here we are.
Now here you are. Is there someone in particular at AEW that you're looking forward to working with?
Everybody. The rosters are incredible. Kenny Omega. I want to fight the Young Bucks single. I want to tag team against the Young Bucks. Of course, I want to see where John Moxley, where Dean Ambrose is, where his ambitions are. He seems pretty wild. I wouldn't mind getting in the ring in there and seeing what we could do. It's going to be great. I think we have a great advantage, and that's Chris Jericho. I think there's, right now there's no one more on top of the game and really excelling at what he does. And we're very lucky to have him.
And so the Bellator return is Bellator 231, October 25th against Anthony Garrett. And I think after that fight, a lot of people are going to be saying, like, when are they going to push you, right? When are they going to give you a step up in competition? Is next year the year that you're going to take the step up, or do you want the slow build over there in Bellator?
People are always going to be saying something, even if we go out there and we shut them all up. There's always going to be someone saying something. So we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the hard work and on the things that I need to improve on and keep focusing on. We're out to make a statement. Don't get me wrong. We're here to make a statement, and I hope he knows that. So we're coming in there, Bellator, Mohegan Sun, and it's going to be great.
I'm not familiar. I will be honest. I'm not too familiar with Anthony Garrett. Does he look maybe a little more the part than your last opponent?
He's bigger than I am. He's cutting weight to make 265.
Wow. Okay.
He's a big, tall Kansas kid, 6 pro fights. He fought J.W. Kaiser as an amateur, same guy as me.
Yeah.
Beat him in the first round. So, it's going to be my toughest fight, my biggest fight of my life. So, everyone can say what they want. Everyone still thinks I'm playing games, and I'm not really doing this. So I plan on making another statement to prove everyone wrong again. And then I'm going to show up on my TV show the following Wednesday and tell everyone how good I looked.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm all in, as they say, for you. I'm only watching AEW for you. No one else. Because I could say,
Ariel,
I know that guy. Yeah.
We started from the bottom. Now we're here.
That's right. Look at you. Look at you. Jake Hager. Jack Swagger. I don't know. You changed your name. It's now Jake Hager on social media. I noticed that. And it's not Friday. It's Monday. Please send my best to your lovely wife. Okay, Jake? All the best to you guys. And good luck October 25th.
Thank you, my man. See you soon.
All right, there he is, the one and only Jake Hager, returning October 25th for Bellator, and also now a member of All Elite Wrestling. Who said there was no connection between wrestling and MMA? Unbelievable. All right, now let's turn our attention back to 243. Let's go 3 for 3 now with the City Kickboxing guys. These guys had a phenomenal night, a memorable night, one of the best nights in the history of a team on a UFC card. Now let's start first off with Brad Riddell, who made his UFC debut on Saturday against Jamie Mullarkey. And this was the fight of the night. It was a phenomenal fight back and forth. And you may have seen the footage just a couple of weeks ago where Kai Kara-France, teammate of his, came back after his fight in China and announced that he now got a contract. It was an amazing way to announce this. Anyway, it was a great fight, a bloody war back and forth. The ear almost fell off. It was shades of Thompson versus Kimbo. Afterwards, this is what Brad Riddell had to say about that kind of fight.
It's good for like publicity and stuff like that, but it's not good for my looks. You know, my modeling career is going like a little bit further away every time. Getting some more scars. My ears are getting a bit more chewed up, and my nose ain't looking so great. But you know, hopefully my hairline's going to cover this one on my eyebrows, so I'll carry on all good.
At the crack of dawn is Brad Riddell. I appreciate this very much. It's currently 6:39 a.m. Tuesday morning over there, a couple days after his fight. Brad, so good to have you on the show for the first time, and congratulations on the big victory.
Thanks for having me, Ariel. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah.
How annoying was it to wake up this early? Be honest with me.
Nah, it wasn't too bad. Like, I'm still running on adrenaline.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's sleep's little, and I'm enjoying my days at the moment, so I try to wake up earlier and get the most of them. But I fly out today as well, so I had to be up early.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't feel too bad. How are you feeling after a fight like that? 2 days later around, like your body, how is it feeling right now?
Yesterday I was a little bit jet lagged, a little bit sore, but today I'm getting a little bit better. I'm all swollen, all puffy after the fight, and I assume that once I jump on the plane, I'm going to swell up like a balloon. But yeah, man, I'm still running on endorphins and everything. Life's good. Life's good.
Any serious injuries?
No, just a few stitches, black eye, cuts and bruises. Yeah, bit of a makeover, but nothing that.
The looks are fine. They remain relatively intact.
Yeah, well, they remained what they were.
Right.
Wasn't an improvement, but wasn't too much of a detrimental night.
To debut on a card like that, 57,000 people, two of your good friends, teammates fighting on the card as well. One of them in the main event, the other in the co-main event. Not that close, not that far, from where you live and train out of. What was that like for you and then to produce a fight like that, the fight of the night on a card like that? Does this sort of feel like a dream scenario for you after all these years, Muay Thai, kickboxing, working your way up in the MMA scene, and now getting to debut on a stage like that and to have a fight like that? How do you process all of this?
It was, well, now I'm processing it. At the time, I just tried to sort of like segregate everything and keep my mind focused on the fight, because I knew the gravity of the situation coming up. But it was a very cool dream for Israel, me and Dan, but I think it was our coach's like ideal dream and situation. And obviously getting the 3 wins back to back was like a dream come true from him. Like I said, I haven't been sleeping too much, but I'm sure he probably still hasn't slept since the fight. And I saw him yesterday, and he's pretty stoic and pretty quiet sort of guy, but yeah, I haven't seen him this happy in a while, so it's good. That's pretty rewarding for us.
This is one of the best stories of the year, how this, pretty small gym in New Zealand is now turning into one of the giants of this sport. I was talking about the head coach, Eugene Behrman, who is 10-0 this year in UFC fights, of course, has Izzy, Alex Volkanovski fighting in December as well. At what point did you start to feel like we're onto something here? Like, and it's not just you guys, Kai Kara-France, of course, and Shane Young. Like, there's a movement happening here, and we're turning into one of the powerhouses in this sport. When did you start to feel like that was starting?
Well, to be brutally honest, I felt like it was starting years ago, before we were all sort of making this wave in the UFC, like on all the local shows and shows in China and stuff like that. We're performing just as well and doing all the groundwork, I guess, for for this performance here. And it's a lot of people keep asking like, why are we so successful and why are we going so well and stuff like that. And if you guys have seen the small videos that we've been posting of like our reactions in the changing room, when Israel won or when I won and stuff like that, it's you can see how much we invest into each other. You know, like we feel that we are in there with them. And yeah, man, it's the culture at our gym. It's been building over 10 years, and just if a guy's willing to get in the trench with you that often every day and put in that much work, it's something special. And I guess it came through in the weekend, and it shows that we're fighting for something a little bit deeper than just ourselves in our gym.
Did you know that Kai France was going to present you with the contract when he came back in that little ceremony? Did you know? Did you have a feeling that was happening?
Nah. Eugene told me that he was going to try organize something in China and not to get my hopes up too high. And so I was like, oh, okay. And he's not known for being, you know, much of a liar. So I just believed him outright. And then he texted me when he was over there and he said, oh, sorry, man. I didn't get a chance to sit down with Sean or anything. So we're going to have to wait till Tuesday morning. And I was like, damn. And he's like, yeah, but don't start eating. Don't be lazy. Like, don't make sure you keep training. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was a little bit gutted. And then I showed up on Monday night. And yeah, I knew Kai wanted to back his fight up if he came out fine and fight on UFC 243. And he came out fine. So I was under the assumption that he was announcing his fight. So I was happy for him. And then obviously I was ecstatic when I realized that it was me he was talking about. And I was super happy. I was kind of a little bit angry because I figured out Eugene had lied to me the whole time. But I mean, it is what it is, and it turned out for the better.
Like I said, you had a great career in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Eventually, why did you decide to focus on mixed martial arts?
Well, it was mainly Eugene. Like at the start, I wasn't super interested in MMA. I would do a little bit here and there, and I moved home for some like important stand-up fights that I had, and he was slowly trying to get me to do this 10 a.m. MMA class, and I was a little bit interested, not too interested. I'd come to some, sometimes I wouldn't, and eventually over time I found myself turning up to all of them, and then eventually I found myself not being allowed to not turn up to all of them. So that's how the transition happened, and I just kept fighting and realized I love the challenge of having. It was hard, you know, because at the start I was getting beaten up again, and after having so many years of striking and doing well, and then getting put back at the bottom of the heap, it was frustrating. So it really motivated me to get better, and here we are.
You had one fight. Your debut was in 2013, but then you took a 3-year break, and since then it's been a little more consistent. Why did you do that one fight? Did you not like it, that one fight, and said I'm going to go back to what I know and like?
Oh man, nah, that one fight was an accident. So I was at a gym in Phuket, like down the bottom of the island, and I got told there was a fight in Burma, in Myanmar, stand up with MMA gloves. So I was like, oh, cool, I'll do that. And my friend was like, yeah, you should go do that. So I jumped on a plane, and I think I was one of the first foreigners up there to actually fight. And so me and a couple of mates went up there for this like stand-up fight, and we got there, and they were like, oh, it's MMA. And we were like, ooh, okay. And I was sort of like, oh, guys, we're here now. Let's just do it. And so we did it. And I came out for knockout, and I even went on the ground a little bit, which was lucky that I did a little bit back when I was like 14. But so that's how I had my first MMA fight. It was just I got lied to by the gym owner, and It was a complete accident.
Wow. That is an amazing story. Going back to the fight on Saturday, did you notice that his ear was flapping the way, like it looked like it was going to explode? Did you notice that, and were you trying to target it?
I didn't notice until about halfway through the last round, and we were standing apart, and I was faking. I was sort of looking at him a little bit, and then I was like, Jesus, look at that. Yeah. Like, and then for like a split second, and then I kept fighting, but everyone kept talking about it afterwards, so I had to go have a look at Jesus. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it looked like a spare tire.
You ever see the James Thompson Kimbo Slice fight?
No, I haven't. Was it similar, was it?
Yeah, very similar. Thompson, it actually stopped because of Thompson's ear. So I thought maybe a similar thing was going to happen there. But like, were you trying to actually target it at that point once you noticed it?
No, not particularly. I was in war mode. Like, I was in go mode. I was just I was deep in the realms of the fight, man. I can't say I was targeting an ear.
Yeah.
I was just targeting him.
Right.
You know?
How did you feel afterwards? Like in the moments after the fight, were you completely exhausted?
Correct. You know, I haven't listened to my speech after the fight. Before I fought, I had all these plans to say these grand things, and sound like Israel and sound great and this and that, and then all I remember was trying to come out of cardiac arrest, pretty much. And but yeah, it was. I left everything in there, and I showed that I was willing to die in there. You know, I was gonna disappoint my coaches or my country or anything like that, and that's why I was out of breath. So I think it was all right that I had a bad speech.
By the way, why is your nickname Quake?
Because my city, I took that name, and I think it's mine by right, because my hometown, Christchurch in New Zealand, it's been through a lot of earthquakes, and it destroyed the city, destroyed a lot of people's lives. And it moved me to Auckland, where I came to my gyms, Liga and City Kickboxing, and the earthquake was really bad for a lot of people. For me, it actually turned out for the better. So me taking that name Quake is like a little bit of a representation of my city, and trying to give back to them for like all those people that decided to stay and persevere with the difficulties of having to live there with the place shaking all the time.
Right.
And also, I've had a lot of knockouts in my career. Like, I've stopped a lot of people, and I generally hit pretty hard when I fight. So I think it's a nice little cliche there.
My understanding is you're essentially Alex Volkanovski's striking coach. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'm not going to claim a striking coach, but I hold his pads, and I taught him things that I've been taught from Eugene from my gym. So I'm like a training partner that holds pads for him and tries to guide him with his striking. Yeah.
How long have you been working with him?
Be like 4 or 5 years. We've been training together, and about 3 years of solid mitt work I've been putting in with him.
So I'm going to give you credit for all his success. He's looked so good as a striker as of late. It's all because of you.
He comes and trains with us at the gym, man, and he gets to train with a lot of strikers, and everything I do is like guided by Eugene. You know, like, I'll hold the pads and I'll look over and see if he's looking at me, and sometimes he'll give me like a little nod, and I'll be like, okay, I'm doing it right. So, yeah.
Will you be working with him leading up to this big title fight?
100%.
Yeah.
Until the wheels fall off, you know. I said to that guy that we're going to get that belt, and like, I'll be on his team until the day he decides to hang his gloves up. So, I mean, Max Holloway, he's a man, but Alex Volkanovski is the great, and it's going to be a hell of a fight, and I'm 100% confident we're going to win that. Alex is already like in the early stages of his camp, and I'm excited. Man. It's going to be an awesome fight. Fun time in Vegas.
What a way to potentially end the year for the team if he's able to get that second UFC title for the team. One last thing, the thing that you're wearing around your neck, what is that? The black thing hanging there? Oh,
that's a Panama stone. This is green stone from New Zealand. This was given. You can only get given these. You don't go buy these yourselves. This is like signifies like strength, mana, and leadership. Mana is like your like courage and strength and like willpower and stuff like that. So you get given these bigger Panama stones when you do something significant. And I got this one a while back when I coached a bunch of people that were raising money for suicide prevention. I taught them for like 12 weeks boxing, and they do like a charity fight night. And raise a lot of money to help people that are struggling. So I coached a big team, and at the end of it, the team brought me this stone as a gift, and it was a huge honor. And we all have one. Dan, myself, Eugene, Israel, and we wear them very proudly.
I love it. Well, great to meet you, and congratulations on such an amazing debut, a very memorable debut. I know you probably didn't want it to be that kind of war, but Fight of the Night bonus, you got that, and really helped start what was, in the end, a very special night for the team. So congratulations, Brad, and again, thank you very much for doing this so early in the morning. I appreciate it.
That was an absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me, and I'll see you again soon.
Yes, sir. There he is, Brad Riddell, one of the newest members of the UFC, and he started the night for City Kickboxing, won that fight of the night, and then the next one up was Dan Hooker. So let's go in that order as well. Let's say hello now to Hangman Hooker himself, who defeated Ally Quinta in the co-main event. He asked to be on the card. He got a fight on the card, and he had one of his best performances in the UFC on the card. There he is, Dan Hooker, joining us early in the morning as well. I'll say the same thing that I just said to Brad. Thank you so much for doing this. And how annoying was it to wake up so early after a fight, Dan?
Nah, not annoying at all. I had an early night last night, so I'm good to go.
You guys are menches. We'll see if Izzy, who's up next, says the same thing as both you and Brad, because you had the same response. We'll see how he feels. But congratulations. You know, you fought in the UFC obviously a lot longer than Brad. You've been around for at least a couple years now, and I'm wondering, like, you've never fought on a stage like that. Like, that was a big deal. That was 57,000. That was in Australia. That was, you know, your team, the main event, all that stuff, co-main event. Did this one feel different? Like, on the night itself, could it feel noticeably different? Did it feel like a bigger deal?
Yeah, it did. It felt like a bigger deal, but, you know, I was lucky that I had 12 UFC fights to fall back on, and I fought on pay-per-view cards in the States. I've fought in co-main events before. So, yeah, I felt like all of that helped me build towards that moment. So then it wasn't that big of a jump, you know. For someone like, you know, Brad to have his first fight in the UFC, I feel like that's much bigger of a feat than my fight.
It's interesting because you had Brad, who's making his debut, but has been fighting for years, and not only MMA, but kickboxing, Muay Thai. You have you, who, like you said, 12 fights. Izzy, little less, 7 fights, but fighting in the main event for the belt and was the interim champion. So you're all kind of at different places in your career. Did you go through the process together? Did you spend a lot of time? Like, I saw the photo of you guys leaving and going together in the ceremony. Did it feel like you were really coming over to Australia together as a unit going to war?
Yeah, I felt pretty comfortable. You know, there was a pretty core group of our coaches and our team, 10, 15 of us out back, all hanging out. So it kind of felt just like we took our training camp somewhere else. It wasn't like a big jump or a big shock to me. Yeah, I was pretty comfortable out back and pretty chill and relaxed.
When you're in there and you're fighting in front of, you know, 57,000 in a stadium, does it feel different than when you're fighting in an arena, or once you're in the actual cage, does it all feel the same?
Yeah, once the fight starts, it's all pretty the same. But up until that point, you know, the walkout, it felt different. You know, the walk was longer. You could see the people there in the stadium when you're looking around. But I felt pretty comfortable. I felt like we had deserved to be there. I felt like you know, Israel deserved to be in the main event. I feel like I'd done the work to deserve. So none of it I felt was none of it I felt nervous about, because I felt like I'd earned that place.
Right. It wasn't gifted to you. You guys earned that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
I know you're used to watching UFC cards in the morning because of the time difference, but to compete in the morning, and I understand daylight savings happened, so you guys lost an hour of sleep. What was that like? Like, did the whole camp, did you change your schedule as opposed to when you're fighting in the States to do everything so early in the morning?
Yeah, it was good. I like the daylight savings. The way I look at it is just, it means the fight is an hour closer than it was gonna be. So if I can just wake up and fight, I'll prefer that, man. Get me to the fight faster.
Okay. And you had to wait a little long because it was the co-main event, but obviously that's a spot that you wanted to be in, and Quinta was the kind of opponent that you were looking for. Did the fight play out the way you wanted to? I mean, that was pretty dominant, and the leg kicks were a big factor. The game plan was phenomenal. You looked amazing. Did it play out the way you thought, or did you think that you would be involved in a little bit more of a back and forth battle?
No, that's how. I don't think too much into it, but that's how my coaches kind of told me it was going to play out. That's how they saw it. I thought I could have done a little more going back, and I got to watch it a few more times. I've only watched the fight once, but yeah, I'll definitely look for things to improve on.
What do you wish you did more of?
I don't know, hit him more.
Okay.
Finished him.
You weren't happy?
Oh, happy. No, I'm happy.
Content, but not over the moon.
Content. Yeah, that content. That's the perfect word for it, Ariel.
Okay. You wanted to finish.
Oh, come on. We always want to finish it.
That's right. Did they really tell you to not speak very long in the post-fight interview so that they can go back and be with Israel? Or was that a joke?
Nah, they never told me that.
Oh, okay. I thought that that's what was said on the broadcast. So, but your post-fight interview was very short. You didn't like spend a lot of time. You got right to the point, and you called out Dustin Poirier. Why did he get the honor of getting the call out? Why did you pick him?
Well, he's the highest ranked guy, and I just beat the number 6 in the world in a pretty convincing fashion. He's coming off a loss. He doesn't have a fight, so it's the highest ranked guy that doesn't have a fight. I'll start my way at the top. He's number 2, so I'll start there.
Did you see his response?
Yeah, I saw his response. He's gonna, and it's kind of anticipated. I thought that's exactly what he would say. But then, who do I ask next, right? Who's next on the list?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, you work your way down, and then you got Justin Gaethje. What's he gonna say when I ask him? He's gonna say the exact same thing Dustin Poirier just said. He's gonna say, "I'm waiting for the Irishman. I'm waiting for Conor McGregor." Well, you can't both be waiting for Conor McGregor. Poirier and Gaethje can't both fight him.
Right.
One of you has to fight me.
Do you feel like it's more that they're waiting for Conor, or they just don't want to fight you because they don't think that you have the quote unquote name?
Bit of both, really, But they can't wait around forever, We're young, we're hungry. They can't just sit there and wait for a guy who doesn't have to fight. Conor doesn't have to get out of bed and fight anyone. He could wait around for the Tony Khabib fight to happen, and he's going to get the winner regardless. So they could be waiting around for nothing, waiting the prime years of their career. So speed it up, lads. Get the ball rolling.
What did you make of Poirier's suggestion that you fight Donald Cerrone, offering up Cerrone?
I love that fight. I love the Cowboy fight. Cowboy is a fucking gangster. He'll get in there, and I'm certain that Cowboy will take the fight. 100% Cowboy would accept that fight, and it would go out there and it would be a war. But just as principle, I'm not going to go out there and call a guy who just he's coming off a knockout loss, It's bad form, Okay. If he wants to fight and he says he's healthy and said he's ready to go and he wants to get back in there and he wants to mix it up with me, then 100% we can put the fight together and we can make the fight. But I feel like it's bad form. He just got knocked out. You need time to let that recover, and you need to, it's his call. I don't want the fans or him. He's game. He's too game. I don't want them pressuring him to get back in there. And I want him to be back at 100% when we mix it up one day.
And so you think it's worse form to call someone out after a loss, knockout loss, as opposed to a submission loss, right?
Yeah. Well, a little submission, you're back up there. You don't take any shots to your brain. You're not. There's no long-term risk of injury with the submission loss. He tapped out. He didn't go unconscious.
Right.
Compared to a knockout, in a medical sense, they're pretty uncomparable.
There's a pretty good chance that you probably don't fight again this year, right? I think that's a safe bet. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I was, because this Melbourne card was supposed to be a New Zealand card. I've heard rumblings of that for a very long time. And so this perfect storm with Israel and Whittaker kind of picked up, and it turned into a stadium show, which took the New Zealand card away. So, they usually have a card in Australia or Australasia and New Zealand early in the year. So I'm expecting, January, February that we get a New Zealand card announced, and mate, I can't wait to be on that card.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can make a very strong case that you should be headlining that card, to be honest. And with all the momentum now with the gym and the fighters coming out of there, that could almost be a New Zealand versus the world card. But the reason I asked that question was because you ended the year last year with the Edson Barbosa fight, and you've really turned things around this year. I mean, you could also make a case that maybe you're one of the comeback fighters of the year after the way in which that fight went. Do you remember like how that year ended and the things you said to yourself to try to get back on track, and to have a year like this coming off of a performance like that and a fight like that where you showed so much heart, but he did hit you a lot and hurt you, to try to like get yourself ready for 2019? Do you remember the conversations that you were having with yourself and what your mindset was going into this year?
I didn't tell myself anything. I just got back out of bed in the morning and went to training. There was never a question of a doubt that anything was going to happen. As soon as my body was ready to go and I was back at 100%, I got back in there and took a fight. And that's what fighters do. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. My last 2 fights have had very good results. And, I doubt that that's the last ass whooping I'm ever going to take in my life. But I gained a lot of confidence knowing that it was very easy for me to get back up and back in there and get back on track. So I know that within myself, and I'm 100% confident should it happen again that, it's just a little bump in the road.
I love it. So now after your fight, you went to the back and watched Israel's fight?
Yep.
Man, what was that like for you?
Yeah, pretty crazy. I think our coach put something up on the gym's page of us all out back watching the fight. I thought it was over in the first round.
Yeah.
When it dropped. So we had like 2 moments of jumping around and going nuts. It was a bit of adrenaline dump later that night for sure.
And did you know he was going to come out that way?
Oh, I feel like Rob sped it up. Rob was super aggressive, man. He was coming out there and he was really trying to take Israel's head off early. So I feel like Rob sped it up.
I meant the entrance.
Oh, Howie, yeah. I had something. He played it pretty cool. He played it pretty cool. Like none of us would tell each other our walkout music that we had chosen for the event.
Okay.
But the night before I was there when he had to explain like what he was kind of doing with his boys coming over and them doing a dance. But that's just him, man. He'll do that bigger and better if the UFC will let him every single fight. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I hope they do let him. And afterwards, what did you guys do as a team? Did you celebrate together? Did you do anything special?
Yeah, we had a bit of a celebration. They put on a rooftop hangout with some of the boys. So us and the team went up there and, had a couple of beers and all hung out and enjoyed the moment.
Amazing. Well, congratulations on an amazing performance. I know you say that you were content and not over the moon, but I was certainly impressed. And just for the team in general on Saturday, I know it was very special, or Sunday over there in Australia. So congratulations to all of you, and keep it up, my man. 6-1 since moving to lightweight in 2017. It's been a nice little run for you, and looking forward to seeing what's next.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate the time.
All right. There he is. Dan Hooker joining us now for the second time on the program. Big win for him. So this is how it went for City Kickboxing. On Saturday here, Sunday over there, UFC 243. Brad Riddell with the big win over Jamie Malarkey gets the Fight of the Night bonus. And then in the co-main event, you had Dan Hooker defeating Ali Quinta. And then moments after that in the main event, the new king is crowned. UFC undisputed middleweight champion. The meteoric rise, the coronation is complete. There he is, the man himself, the last style bender, Israel Adesanya. How are you, sir?
My man, Ariel Helwani, what's up, brother?
Oh, it's so great to talk to you. And I'll ask the same thing I asked Brad and Dan. Was it annoying to wake up so early? Because I get ashamed asking you guys to wake up so early because of the time difference. So I'm sorry, but I just want to know if it was annoying.
Never, never. This is part of my gig.
You're the
Told you I
man.
never switch up.
Yep.
Nothing changed but the change.
I asked Ash if it was going to be a different Israel now, but he assured me not, and here you are. So I appreciate that very much. What a night, my man. Are you still like on a high? Is it hard to go to sleep? I'm in awe of what you did this past weekend. How are you feeling about it?
Honestly, I've been waiting for like that moment when it's like, because before this, so Eugene, for him personally, he doesn't like that stigma of interim, because he's not me. He's not me from the first person. But for me, I'm like, I've told you guys, I've always said I was a champ before I jumped in the UFC. I always felt like the champ. And my last fight, when I won that belt, and people kept on saying, "Oh, well, you're not the real champ. You're the interim champ." I'm like, my belt don't say interim. My belt's never said interim. If you look closely, there's no fucking interim on my belt. But then, even this time, they gave me a belt. They presented me a belt in the cage, and the UFC had to kind of take it back. And I was gonna kick off. I was gonna get mad, but then I realized, you know what, this guy's just doing his job. So I said, okay, you take that. And then they're gonna change the plaque, because my plan was to have my interim belt and then have this new unified undisputed belt, and then that one will collect the rubies, and I'll be the double interim champ. That was my plan, but he's doing his job, so I was like, all right, here you go. But yeah, my belt, I still have the same belt from Atlanta. Well, actually, I don't know where it is. I think Eugene has it right now. But yeah, that was the one that I won the title when I fought Kelvin Gastelum. When I went to the door of death, that's when I won the title. This fight didn't feel like I won the title. It just literally feels like my first title defense.
Wow. And you were expecting that feeling, right? This is not something that you felt after the fact. This is the mindset that you had going into the fight.
No, honestly, I was thinking maybe this time, because Eugene really, after he never really acknowledged, he acknowledged the other belt, definitely, but he wanted us to get this done, because once we got this done, then it's like, oh, okay, now they can't say shit. There's no fucking interim. It's undisputed, unified, king of the fucking world, king of the division. But, 2 seconds. Charlotte!
I'm getting another call there. This happened. You still there, Izzy?
I'm right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you getting another call?
Darkness. Sorry. Karen, what was I saying?
You were talking about how Eugene never acknowledged the other belt.
Yeah, that's right. He never acknowledged the other belt. He always, he always just like, kind of always just 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure, no problem.
Breathe. I just got distracted there.
Okay.
Yeah, he kind of always just like, he doesn't like to leave no doubt, but I always had no doubt, because I'm me. I'm in my own first person view, and I always knew like I'm a fucking champ. So it's good to kind of like solidify it now and be like, yeah, we're the fucking best. Like I said, the Kelvin fight was the one where I felt like I won the belt, where I felt like I became the champ. This honestly feels like my first title defense. So I'm looking forward to the next.
By the way, I can't help but ask, but was that maybe another celebrity sliding into your DMs? I've seen The Rock now do it. Shaquille O'Neal do it. Is that why you reacted that way? Was that just another celeb showering you with praise?
Someone just turned the light off real quick, and I was like, yo, I'm working.
Oh, okay. That's amazing. The Shaquille O'Neal saying you're his favorite fighter, The Rock. Are these DMs that they're sending you?
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know. It's crazy because, fuck, when the Attitude Era, The Rock, was probably my favorite. Yeah, my favorite. Him and John Cena were my favorite, and Stone Cold, like through the era. But The Rock was always the best, because he was always the one that made me laugh whenever he like rapped on the mic and just kind of like did his little, his promos. Like he was always the one, the Brahma Bull.
Yes.
So yeah, it was just cool just to kind of get high praise from people like that. And I've always known, like, since maybe my last fight, I think that's when he became a proper fan. But yeah, it's just cool just kind of see people like that I've grown up watching, because I'm sure I've taken some stuff from The Rock just over the years of seeing the way he just works and the way he takes over a crowd, his presence, his mic control. So definitely things like that I'll soak up as a kid. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I want to start from the beginning of the journey in terms of the week. Like, it seemed like everything you were doing, you were having appearances, the media stuff, you were on point, you were comfortable, you were calm, you were collected, as is usually the case, but it didn't feel like a bigger deal, as you just alluded to. Everything went smoothly all week leading up to fight night. No problems, no surprises. It was all going according to plan.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the camp had a few, like any camp, there's always something, with niggly injuries and blah blah blah. But you just have to, man up and deal with it and do the right thing so you don't have to pull out. And then, yeah, the fight week, it was just eerily smooth. And I think I'm glad I went to Vegas in July because, yeah, even though I spent 8 days there, I made sure I got a lot of work done. So I knocked out a lot of the shit I would have done during this fight week. I knocked it out in Vegas, and it kind of took away a few things. Like, yeah, it made the pre-fight obligations with the media and shit like that. It made it a lot easier because I just knocked a lot of it out, and yeah, everything was just smooth sailing, man.
When did you come up with the idea to do that entrance? I've watched it now a million times. One of the greatest ever in the history of the UFC. How did that all come about?
So I think it was Wednesday. Wednesday was when I decided, because I've always had the idea. But then after getting shut down, for the because we did it, we had the idea again, 2, 3, 4 Melbourne for the silver fight, and then they shut it down, and I was just like, oh, 2 seconds, I'm busy. I'm gonna interview. I'll see you. Mwah, love you. What was I saying? Yeah, I had the idea in 2, 3, 4, but then they wouldn't let it, and I was like, all right, whatever. And that was Robert's show, I guess, even though he didn't show up, and I had to step up. But this time, I was just like, on Wednesday, I was like, nah, fuck it, I want to do this because my boy Jesse lives here, and my boy Jay, he always comes and watches the fight. So I was like, nah, this is my fucking show. It's a stadium show. It's gonna be fucking 50,000 plus. I'm gonna do this my way or no way. And I already knew, like, I had to get this done my way. If not, I'm not gonna stay true to myself. It's not gonna be me authentically expressing myself. So, on Wednesday, I told Jesse and Jay, like, yo, let's get this done. And then we just, made it happen.
And those are childhood friends of yours? How long have you known those guys?
Since they're not even day ones. They're like day -5s. I've known them for a long, long, long time. Like, when I first started, venturing into the city in Rotorua, Jay was part of a group called Crucial Movement, and he was, always busking with them at City Focus and always at the youth center, the bomb shelter back then. And I used to just look up to him and be like, wow, this guy's so cool because he's really never aged. He's 30-something right now, got 2 kids, but he still looks the same. And he used to rock this pink bandana and just had the skis about him, and he was such a cool B-boy. And Jesse, I got introduced to him by Levi in the PE room in high school. And Levi was like, this is my little cousin, da-da-da-da. And eventually me and Jesse started hanging out, and I taught him how to dance. And yeah, we've just kind of all come up together since way back in the day in Rotorua. And it's just cool that, it's cool that for me to launch into the cage, I had people who've known me for years, who know, my core, that I'm an entertainer, and they just kind of help me set the tone and have fun.
Here's the part that I can't quite wrap my head around. We've seen fighters do stuff before fights, but then they get tired or it kind of takes them off their game. We saw Michelle Pajeda dance to the cage and he got all tired and stuff like that. For you to pull off something like that, to think about something like that, and not only the entrance, like even I will admit, I'm not very hip. The Death Note thing, I had no idea what you were doing, but I saw it and I was like, this guy is so cool right now. Like, how could you be that on point and that, focus on these little things that you're doing? I mean, it's a real show that you're putting on. How are you not nervous? How are you not thrown off by the moment?
You look amazed, Ariel. You look amazed.
I am amazed. I am literally amazed. You pulled that thing out. I had no idea what you were talking about. And I saw these people online. They were like, oh, he was noting the booze. Of course, everyone acting like an expert. That was not what you were doing. It was the Death Note thing. You're writing his name. We learned about it afterwards. But how do you have the presence of mind to not be nervous, anxious in that moment, looking around you, focusing on Rob? How does it seem like you're just putting on a performance? I wrote this morning, it's almost like you watched the whole movie, you saw the whole thing play out, and now you're running it back and you're like, I know how this is going to play out, so I could just be calm. I could just be like, oh, look at this about to happen here. It's amazing. How does that happen? Inside, are you more nervous and not just leading it on? Or are you just really that calm, cool, and collected?
I am just that calm, cool, and collected. For me, honestly, after doing a walkout like that, and I already knew, like, because someone said like when they posted that, oh, I really enjoyed Israel's walkout that fight. They tweeted it. The first comments they said was, oh, I hope he gets fucked up. I hope he gets knocked out. And I already know this because I know people. I know the tall-eyed, and the tall puppy syndrome, the green-eyed monsters like that's in them, and in the States like that, because trust me, if I didn't pull it off, if I came out like that super confident and didn't pull it off, then, I'm going to be the butt of all jokes. I'm going to be the laughing stock of the world. I'm going to be on all these meme websites and all these World Star and all that shit. But for me to put myself on the line, like, I think I read a post from Gordon Ryan. He said, like, it was a post he did this week talking about, like, talk like a whole bunch of shit. And then to put yourself on the line like that and to know that if you don't fucking win, you're going to have to eat your words. There's a method to my madness. There's a reason I always say what I'm going to do and I get it done, because I do every fucking thing in my power to make sure it happens. And you guys don't know, man. I said it all week. I'm like, pressure is an acquired taste, and I eat that shit for breakfast. It's delicious. And Robert's been away for a long time. It's not delicious to him. It tastes yuck. And I'm gonna send you a clip, Ariel. I'm gonna WhatsApp you. I saw something on Snapchat. You see, like, back to back, they had when I walked into the cage, when I walked up the stairs, and when he walked up the stairs. And I'm a dancer, Ariel. Dance is body language. Language is a way of communicating. And when I see someone's body communicating with me, no matter what their eyes is trying to fake to me, no matter what their action is trying to fake to me, I can read it. And there's a moment when he walked into the octagon, and I remember, like, you're not ready. He was pacing back and forth like a jaguar in trouble, like a jaguar that's been cornered. And it's still dangerous. Don't get me wrong. If you corner a beast, it'll fuck you up if you mess up. But I caught his eyes and I looked at him and I let him know, like, I can see you. I can see past all this shit you're trying to fake. He's pounding his chest. His left side of his chest is red from pounding it. And he's like, let's fucking go. And it's like, why are you trying to hype yourself so much? Like, and I'm saying that, like, you don't have to, he's trying to G himself up. He's trying to pick himself up to, motivate himself. And then me, I'm just relaxed. And I'm like, and I looked at Eugene, I turned around, I was like, bro, I got this, but I didn't want to get too excited. Because like I said, he's still very dangerous. Even when you corner a cat, a house cat, it'll fuck you up if you make a mistake. So, yeah, I just made sure I dotted my I's and crossed my T's and just stayed cool, calm, and collected and played with fire. I like to play with fire. So I was letting them miss. I was letting them whiz past me. And, we had everything already set. But, yeah, for me, I just like to put my balls on the line. I like to fucking go hard or go home. And like I said, when I'm having fun, I'm the best in the world. I had a whole lot of fun with my boys and my team.
Did you know that he was done at the end of the first, even though it kind of got saved by the bell? Like, did you think, all right, we're about to wrap this up in the second?
Let's just say those who are close to me, some of them, only about 2 people, 3 people, I let them know, like, this wouldn't last. This wouldn't last. I let them know. I gave them the inside scoop. I let them know so they can make the right bets. And they made some nice change, allegedly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, when I hit him, his eyes crossed, and I saw him fall down in slow motion. And I pulled back that punch, but I think I would have been justified to throw it. But I'm glad I didn't because, yeah, now I just, it's like I beat him twice. I beat him in the first round and the second round. In the second round, I don't look for the knockouts, and I told you guys, like, because when a lot of people chased them, and a lot of people would have started that second round differently because they're like, oh, fuck, I heard him. I got to get him out of there before he recovers. He's a dangerous fighter, man. You corner, like I say, if you corner a house cat, you corner a chicken even. Excuse me, boy, if you corner anything, they'll retaliate. But the way he was pacing back and forth, I could just tell. Like even in the corner, he was like when I got rocked by Kelvin, I don't think I had the inkling in the second round before it started. I don't think I had the inkling to look at the screen and see like what dropped me. But he was trying to he was just looking at the screen while the corner and the cutman were packing up. I looked at him. I was like, hey, that's in the past. Don't worry about that. Worry about this. This is what's in front of you right now. This is your problem you have to deal with right now. Don't worry about what just happened. That's all. And he kind of looked at me and winked. And I was like, all right, then let's go. And he came out same like Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares shot to him after the first round, and he came out the second because before that fight we had a lot of heat, and then even before the first round he didn't touch gloves. And I was like, cool. I don't like to touch gloves, when the round starts anyway, because that establishes the distance. That's the first contact for your opponent. I don't want no contact unless I say so. And in the second round, Brad Tavares came out with his hand reached, and I was like, no. After he did the exact same thing, he came out with his hand reached, and we didn't touch gloves in the first round. So why are we going to touch gloves in the second round? And that's him submitting. It's body language. That's him like a dog rolling over and offering his belly in submission. And I was just like, no. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. We'll touch after the fight.
Did you know Paulo Costa was sitting in the front row wearing that snazzy shirt, or did you realize him afterwards being there?
My man, I know everything. It's weird. I don't acknowledge anything, but I could see my peripheral, my zones I was on. I could see where my family was. But you got to realize when I'm in that zone, I can't acknowledge my people. I can't. It's just because I'm focused. I told you guys, whenever I walk out to the cage and watch all my UFC walkouts, I never go out high-fiving people and saying thank you. Because guess what? They don't give a fuck about you. You saw the intro when they were announcing me and the bruise and whatnot. I was like, I know these people don't give a fuck about me. My real ones, when they meet me later on, the fans even the haters, when they meet me later on, they're all trying to suck my dick. I had to check one of them, this fucking fat cunt this weekend. Because he was the one after I've met him twice at 2 shows. This guy that shows up to all the shows. And he's always, I've always given him time of the day. I met his parents. He looks like a proper troll, like a fat, shitty cunt with always wears a black t-shirt. And I saw him talking shit about me online. And I blocked him. Then when I was on my way to the wins, he sees me, he goes, hey, Israel. And I laughed at him, this guy. On the way back after the wins, he tried to talk to me, and I was just like, look, I don't know if anyone caught it on camera, but I just checked him. I was like, I'm not, I'm not someone you play with. I fucking showed you love. I hung out in the lobby with you. I thought we were cool, and then you start talking shit about me and saying I'm not humble and all this other shit online, like you fucking know me. Like, who the fuck do you think you are? And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. And I was like, good. And I was like, you're gonna remain blocked. And he's like, but we're still boys. And I'm like, fuck no. But I just, I know people are fickle. When they meet me one-on-one, it's different, but people are really fickle. So I don't like to, acknowledge all the people around me, even my family. I just wait till after the fight, then I really soak it in. So I knew where he was sitting. I knew what was happening. So I acknowledged him after the fight, and I let him know, suck on D's, motherfucker.
By the time this kid gets his confidence together, I'll probably already be in the heavyweight division. I don't need to wait till 2021 to start believing in myself. That's John Jones reacting to your fight.
Ariel,
yeah.
Ariel, you saw what I did this weekend, right? You know what confidence is?
Yeah.
You know what confidence is? My confidence, they get my fucking confidence. They get your fucking nuts out my mouth, bro. Shit. Oh, I said that the wrong way. Fuck. Redo. I was trying to say get my nuts out your mouth. Jesus Christ. Now, this guy, obviously he's trying to, what do you call it? He's trying to force my hand. He's trying to force my hand. 2 seconds. He's trying to force my hand. And I'm not stupid. It's not about, oh, I'm not confident. Trust me, I'll fuck this motherfucker up when I fight him. I just have to do what I have to do. I have to defend my belt. I've just defended my belt. I'm the unified king. There's 4 more killers. I have to fuck up that middleweight first. And then I'll move up in weight. Then I'll jump up and fuck this guy. Like, I can't wait. I've planned everything, Ariel, from the jump. I've showed everyone, like, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is how I'm gonna do it. And I already said Raider Stadium, Las Vegas, 2021. And even he's fucking contradicting himself. I'm never I think I'm all right here. I'm not gonna move up to heavyweight, this and that. Or do I have to move up to heavyweight? I don't want to fight DC at heavyweight. Now DC's retiring. Okay, I might move up to heavyweight. And he's just contradicting himself. He's just trying to, take, my moment. You can't even fuck with me right now, dude. Look at me, Ariel. Who the fuck is the new face of the UFC? You think John Jones can ever pull some shit like that? I saw him with that fucking bullshit at Nelly entrance when he did the electric slide or some shit. And then like, bro, this ain't the same. This ain't the same person, man. You can't fuck with me on anything. I told you, Ariel. He is jealous. He sees the freshman that's fucking taking all the shine. He sees the guy that's the new dog in the yard, and they're intimidated. They're jealous, and they don't know how to act. So he's always been a fan. He's still a fan. I know he's a fan. But he's always just trying to do what he does, and I'm like, just wait your turn. I'm not going to be one of these guys who's not going to defend my belt. I'm going to defend my belt actively. I'm not going to just be like him and fight twice a year. They're all trying to copy my shit. So let me just defend my belt first, and then I'll move up and I'll come fuck him up.
Realistically, when do you want to return? I know you said January. That seems a little soon, no?
Bro, I'm fresh. I'm probably gonna do some things. I'm leaving back to Auckland tonight, but I have some things to do. My Tom VDK's unveiling. I have to sort out and go to and show love. And a few other things. But I have to talk to my team first. Let me talk to the Sifu first and see what he says, because we make decisions together.
Okay, but you do want to return soon, and it's probably going to be against Paulo Costa, and there's a lot of heat there between the two. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, right? You and all the talk that he has about you. He's learning English daily to try to get back at you for all the things that you're saying. You're obviously a lot better at trash talking in English than he is, but the dynamic between the two of you is a lot of fun.
Exactly. So, and also he just beat the former title contender, so I feel like that's the guy. Also, I like the look of it. Like I said at the post-fight press conference, I like the look of it because he's the guy. He just looks like a Hollywood, like how you don't want to meet Ariel when I say like people are just embedded with the idea that you have to be jacked, like all the casuals. You have to be this muscled up motherfucker to be a badass. When I drop him, when I flatline him in the first round, people would be like, "Oh shit, this skinny black guy did that. Wow, he's a fucking man." And honestly, man, I'm glad everything played out the way this weekend from the jump, from the start of the show to the end of the show, because they all been talking shit, Ariel, and they all been like, this guy, he's not the one. He doesn't have no knockout power. He doesn't know how to put people to sleep. I feel like, do you guys even do your homework? Have you looked at some of my fights in the past where I like flatline heavyweights, flatline them, and excuse me, I don't know. It's weird, I guess.
Last thing for you, Israel, for now.
Last thing?
Yeah.
You kicking me off?
Corporate Jake, again. Do you know the crap that I'm getting right now for going long here? They're telling me to wrap it up with the champ, the face of the UFC. Can you believe this?
Tell them it's the champ. I'll do what I want.
Yeah.
I'm playing. I'm humble. I'm humble.
No,
all right.
should. We should be talking more. They don't realize. But anyway, they're telling me, wrap it up. I'm talking to the face of the UFC right now. The man who's bursting through. It took him 1.5 years to become champion. It took Conor McGregor 2.5 years. Do they not realize? Apparently not. They're casuals. You see what I have to deal with, Israel?
Fucking casuals. Fire them.
But speaking of which, I just spoke to Mike Tyson, casually name dropped that earlier in the show, and we were talking about, feeling yourself and people coming at you when you become big time and throwing things at you and money and not knowing what to do with the money. Life's about to change. I know you say that the first win felt like a real victory, the real belt, but life is about to change. Like doing that on that stage, you're a big deal. Arguably, you are the face of the UFC right now. Do you feel like you're ready for that? You've been building every single time, but do you feel like things are starting to change and do you feel like you're ready for what's going to happen? Because we've seen guys go down the wrong path at this precise moment. The guy we just spoke about, John Jones, went down the wrong path.
Because he was young and dumb and full of cum. When you're 23 years old and you're on top of the world, you're still trying to figure out how to navigate all of this. And no one teaches you how to be famous. There's no school on how to be famous, So, yeah, he fucked his own legacy up. But for me, I made my mistakes outside the UFC. Even example, when I was here last time for the press conference, I'm so in tune. I know what's going to happen. I realized, so I lit up a joint in the alleyway, smoked up, and then I had my AirPods in. And I walked around the city, just the CBD, and I was just chilling at nighttime while everyone was going clubbing and whatnot. I just walked around the city and just soaked it all in, and was just a civilian. I only got recognized twice, once in the street, and then once at the tram stop. I just sat at the tram stop with all these people because there's all randoms there. I sat there. I looked like I'm waiting for a tram. I sat there for about 40 minutes, and I just listened to like just cool music, and I was just like, man, soaking it in. Like, this is one of the last times I'll be able to do this in a major city. So I got to soak it in. After my UFC debut, I have it, on my phone, on my old phone. That when I was like, man, I got to enjoy these moments because this is the last time I'm going to be enjoying these kind of things. After the fight, you're walking around, like head down, my cap down, and just trying to get from A to B without being recognized. Because if one person recognizes me, then it becomes like a zombie apocalypse. Even those who don't know who I am, they just start to see, oh, someone famous, let me try and get a photo. And then even when I tell people like, look, I'm on a date right now, I'm busy. Oh, please, just one photo. It means a lot to me. I'm like, do you realize I'm with someone right now? I'm giving them my attention, and all they want is their moment. I just want to satisfy me. Or it's the least you can do for me. The least I can do for you, the fuck if you done for me? So trust me, Ariel, ain't nothing changed but the change. I've leveled up. I've been ready for this from the jump. And you can look in my eyes and know that I will fumble, but I'll always pick it back up. But yeah, I'm not a guy that's going to fumble anytime soon.
Amen. Congratulations, Izzy. Really, really happy for you. And I'd like to start the movement. It's Adesanya, not Adesanya. It's
Adesanya.
Adesanya, right?
Oh, man.
Let's try to give you some respect. Put some respect on that name. You talk all cool.
Respect on my name.
Yeah, you talk cool. I want to talk cool too. Respect with a K. Thank you so much for doing this.
Definite.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for staying true. I'll never fold up. We'll always keep the same energy.
I appreciate it. Enjoy the victory, my man.
Sure, brother.
There he is, the one and only Israel Adesanya. Corporate Jake, do you have anything to say for yourself? Do you have anything to say?
Wrap up.
Wow. You see that? I'm going to get some heat for this. But I regret nothing. Do you want to give the poll results or no?
Sure, we can do that real quick.
Oh, okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Because I could have been asking questions right now.
No, I'm ready. So
all right.
With a total of a little under 31,000 votes, Israel Adesanya leads the way with 53% of the votes, Jorge Masvidal with 35%, and Henry Cejudo with 12%.
Oh, my. Okay. And what about Coach of the Year?
Coach of the Year with just over 5,000 votes, Eugene Berriman with a slight lead of 52% over Al Baracin's 48%.
Ooh, a close one. All right. So we'll see how it plays out in December. Actually, we're going to do it in January this year, right? After the December 31st shows. And by the way, it's Adesanya. Say it with me now.
Adesanya.
No, Adesanya.
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 Close the show.
All right. We're out of time. They don't realize how hard it is to get. You think Israel Adesanya is just waking up for anyone? You think he's waking up for big guns? Not waking up for big guns. He's waking up for the nose. All right? Put some respect. What a weekend. We're back. Took a week off, and I have to listen to everyone say, oh, you took a week off. You're slipping. Oh, your shows, they're slipping. I'll do the same thing that Israel did to Paulo at the end of that fight. All right? To all you haters. What am I looking for here? Okay? Mike Tyson. Israel Adesanya. Max Holloway. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now for all your MMA news and interviews? Nowhere. That's the answer to that question. Nowhere. It was a fun day. Thank you very much to all our guests. Thank you very much to all of you for stopping by. Thank you very much to Jared Cannonier. Congratulations to him. Mazel tov to one Mackenzie Dern, and good luck to her on Saturday. Thank you very much to Mike Tyson. And check out PFL this Friday on ESPN Plus and ESPN2. Thank you very much to Miesha Tate. Check out 1 Century this weekend as well. Thank you very much to Max Holloway. Good luck to him on December 14th. Thank you very much to Jake Hager. Good luck to him October 25th. Congrats to Brad Riddell, Dan Hooker, and Israel Adesanya, the new face of the UFC. Back next week, same time and place. Until then, I say peace. I'm out of here.